talking about sustainability, speaking about green buildings, and of course, looking at circularity in the context of construction and building materials. Before I hand over to the mic to the president of the Green Building Council, it's a known fact that we're working on different timelines. Some have it as the 2030 agenda, as of course established by the United Nations. Some have established that agenda to be 2050. The African Union has established it to be 2060. But the agenda has a common goal to ensure that we live in a sustainable city, to ensure that we are able to live an environment that is more healthy, that is more resilient, that is safe for upcoming and future generations. And this morning, I want to welcome us once again to the Future City 2024. And I hope that everyone here would take a thing or two. You'll be able to learn something and take it back to your different businesses, different sectors where you work, the organizations that you represent, and you would have the best time ever here. Thank you once again, and then I'll welcome the President of the Green Building Council of Nigeria, Mr. Danjuma Waniko, for his opening remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to, let me take a moment to acknowledge our special guests, VIPs, Ms. Yan from the Consulate of China in Lagos. Thank you so much for coming. Nasrananda, our fearless leader, I call her, Chair of the Africa Regional Network of the World Green Building Council and CEO of Kenya Green Building Society. Mr. Christian Mulamula, the country head of office for IFC Nigeria, and all our other distinguished guests here present. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Apologies, this is not my natural or preferred state or habitat. I typically like to work quietly in a room by myself somewhere, so if I muddle a bit or seem out of sorts, apologies. I'll just try and read what I have written and hope it's inspiring enough. I'm supposed to inspire you guys and, you know, set the tone for the rest of the summit. So good morning once again. Welcome to the Future Cities Africa Green Building Summit 2024. Today we are here to talk about how we can build resilient, sustainable, and inclusive cities in Africa, in Nigeria, and the wider continent. Let me just start by mentioning three things that I thought were worth talking about. First, of course, is Africa's urban footprint is expected to double in the next 2.5 decades. 80%, a popular statistic, 80% of the buildings that will stand by 2050 are yet to be built. Our urban population is expected to more than double. We're about 1.2 billion in our cities today. I think slightly over 1 billion in the cities today. By 2050, that's going to be close to 2.5 billion. And coupled with that is a climate challenge. 17 of the 20 most vulnerable countries to climate change are located in Africa. And then on top of that, if that is not bad enough, over half of our urban population live in what you would call slums, inadequate shelter. So those are some of just a snapshot of the challenges we face. But then, looking on the flip side, on the other side of things, I think it's worth talking about that. Africa, of course, the youngest continent on the planet, and we all know this. We have a youthful, vibrant, and very innovative population, full of energy, full of ideas, full of passion. So that is a plus. As vibrant and dynamic cities are hotbeds of entrepreneurialism and innovation, and we're already demonstrating. If you look at our cities, yes, sometimes you look around the continent and the picture looks gloomy, but if you perhaps use a magnifying glass and focus in spots here and there, you see glimmers of hope, reasons for optimism, and you see even lessons that we in Africa can teach and export to other parts of the world. So that is the other side of the coin. So we have challenges, but we also have great opportunities. So this confluence of challenge and opportunity is really what we're here to talk about, how we can leverage the opportunities that Africa has, our innovation, our passion, our youth, our dynamism, and use them to address some of the challenges we face. The expected massive resource footprint, my expanding cities, and the other things I mentioned. And we're going to be examining this through the lens of 3 pillars, which are the summit sub-themes: carbon neutrality, the circular economy, and inclusive development. For us in Africa, carbon neutrality, please let me know when my time is up. Carbon neutrality is, yes, mitigation of climate change is one side of it, but in Africa, the climate challenge is also about building or creating a built environment that is healthier, that is more livable, and that is resilient and can survive the impacts of our changing climate. Buildings that can resist and survive the warming climate heat stress, buildings that are durable and can survive the repetitive flooding that they will experience. So that is the climate challenge. Added to that, of course, we're going to be looking at the circular economy. For us, again, it's, yes, resource circularity and conserving nature is important. But for us, resource circularity, the circular economy is an opportunity to create jobs, to put the energy of our youth to use, to generate ideas, to generate income, generate revenues. So circular economy, resource conservation, saving nature, saving natural resources, but it's also about jobs, it's also about the economy. And then, of course, inclusive urban development. Very important, something that is almost always not neglected, but not much talked about when we gather in this mega fora like COPs. And we don't really talk that much about inclusiveness in development, but very important because in our cities today, we face challenges with inequity, marginalization. We face challenges of safety and security, and these can act as brakes to innovation, because the woman who is scared or the girl who is scared to go out cannot put her talents to use. So that is one of the things we're going to be looking at today. I think I'll round up here. Sometimes I talk too much, forgive me. So these 3 pillars, of course, are also linked to the Africa Manifesto, something else you're going to be hearing about over and over and over today. Apologies if we talk too much about it. We have about 9 GBCs here. We developed this document a couple of years ago, so we're very passionate about it. And we're going to be talking about how we can leverage the priorities, the vision in this document to address Africa's urban challenge. So we're going to be looking at these 3 pillars side by side and through the prism of the Africa Manifesto for Sustainable Cities and the Built Environment. And so as we engage in these discussions, please, this is an open forum. We don't know it all. We don't claim to have all the answers. I love interacting with people. I am not a fan of expert-led discussions because sometimes experts know too much. Forgive me, any experts in the room, and sometimes they lead us where we don't want to go and give us solutions that don't work for us. So what we're here to do today is to listen to you, the people who are actually there facing these challenges, the people who are actually experiencing these issues, the person whose home was recently flooded, the person whose home is actually too warm or too hot to live in, the person who is suffering marginalization in his cities. What are the solutions that work for you? What are the challenges and how can we address them? So please feel free to share your insights. Feel free to share your experiences and knowledge. We're going to have a very interactive discussion today. So before I conclude, of course, I have to thank, it's down to 0. So let me just quickly thank our sponsors and our partners. I don't have enough time to name you all here today. Apologies, but I cannot go without at least giving a shout out to IFC, our partner. Thank you for supporting us. We started this journey last year. You believed in us, and we started small. Here we are today. We really want to thank you, Mr. Christian Mulamula, for support from the IFC and from Team Edge. Thank you, Michelle. A shout out to Lola over there. We'll continue to work together over the years. And all our other sponsors, my directors, my partner GBCs from all across Africa. We've been talking virtually. It's good to meet you face to face. And the audience, of course, thank you for coming. So let me wrap up here and let's have a fruitful deliberations. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we go on to start with the first keynote session for today, everyone is obviously affected by the phenomenon of climate change. Some people wonder how does it affect what we do in the built environment sector. And it's quite enormous because obviously buildings take up about 40% of most of all the sectors in terms of transportation, manufacturing, construction activities, and different associated and allied business chains. And so this morning, as the President had mentioned, it would be good to ensure that you're here to look at how these issues affect you in whatever sector that you play, and how you can be either socially sustainable, economically sustainable, of course, working across the triple sustainability bottom line. So before we go on this morning, I'm just going to recognize some of the people that we have in the room this morning. Who will just, by the time, when I call them, you should just, stand up this morning, and just so that we can see those that we have in the room. In our midst here this morning, we have the representative of the Architects Council of Nigeria, in the person of Architect Tofarati Gbadamosi, is representing the president of the Architects Council of Nigeria. This morning as well, we have in our midst the Lagos State Chapter Chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, in the person of Architect David Majekodumi. Please, thank you, sir. You're welcome. In our midst here this morning, we have one of our trustees, one of our trustees of the council, in the person of Dr. Mrs. Dolakbo Amole. You're welcome, ma. You're welcome. Thank you very much, ma. Also, before we go on, of course, there's been an honorable mention, but I'll mention it again. The IFC Principal Country Officer and Head of Office in Nigeria, represented by, that's Mr. Christian Mulamula. You're welcome. That works with the International Finance Corporation here in Nigeria, and thank you for sponsoring us here. Also, in our midst this morning, we have Mr. Joseph Waterpade, the Commissioner of Urban Development, Ministry of Lands and Housing in Uganda. Please, you're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. This morning, also, we have GBCs represented in the room. By GBCs, I mean Green Building Councils. For those who are in the room, just before I go to the GBCs, I don't know if Michelle is in the room. Michelle Farrell from the IFC Edge. Thank you very much. A round of applause for her. Also, Mr. Dennis Kwanzaa from our sister country in Ghana is here. Thank you very much. They represent the IFC Edge, which is we all know that's a software. It's a green building certification software, and it does so many things. We have Ms. Yang Yuhing in our midst here. She's the Chinese Consul General. You're welcome. Thank you very much, Yan, for joining us today. So I'll take it on to the Green Building Councils here represented. Oh, let's keep it. In our midst here, we have the Executive Secretary of the Financial Center for Sustainability, Mr. Emmanuel Etaderi, is right here in our midst. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today. And then, yes, go to the GBCs. We have in our midst here Nasja Nanda from the Green Building Council in Kenya, and she's also the chair of the African Regional Network of the World Green Building Council. We have the representatives of the Green Building Council from South Africa. Thank you. And then we have the representative from the Green Building Council in Mauritius. I'm trying from Botswana. Please it's right there at the back over there. You're welcome from Botswana. Yeah, from Mauritius. We have the one from Botswana as well. No representative here. Oh, yeah, she stood up. Yeah, we have from the Green Building Council in Zimbabwe. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, right as other people come in, we would do the introductions. But this morning, we would start with the first keynote speech for today. We have the agenda. If you scan this QR code on your delegate pass, you should be able to see the agenda and the brochure for the summit. We're talking of sustainability here, so we're trying to go paperless as much as possible. Yes, we know some of us still have to work with paper, but yeah, so once you scan that, you can have it on your mobile device, and you can follow through with what we have here this morning. So going into our first keynote speech for today, which was supposed to be taken by the His Excellency Farmer Muhammad Umaru Bago, who is the Executive Governor of Niger State. Unfortunately, he has sent in his apologies, and this morning, his speech will be taken by no other than one of someone who I've known in the field of architecture, is someone who has, impacted my own career greatly and a career of a whole lot of architects and built environment professionals here in Nigeria. The keynote here this morning will be taken by Professor Bayo Amole, who is an architect and is a professor of architecture, a professor of architecture at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Great Ife. He used to be the head of department spanning several years at the University of at Obafemi Awolowo University. So currently, he serves in different leadership capacities across various architectural associations and various institutes. This morning, with a warm round of applause, can you welcome Professor Bayo Amole? He will be taking the keynote speech this morning on behalf of the Executive Governor of Niger State. Thank you very much. You're welcome, sir. A round of applause once again. Thank you.
Very much. It's a great privilege for me to read to us His Excellency's speech, His Excellency's keynote address. It is apparent that I'm not the governor of Niger State, and it is also apparent that the nature of things in Nigeria, you are not expecting to find a representative who is not dressed in proper Babariga. But you'll have to excuse me. I've learned Many people excuse me on account of my white hair, and I think you would do the same. So whatever hair I'm going to say that is good is by the executive governor. If I read something that is offensive to you, attribute it to me, and you can always deal with me. It's so, ladies and gentlemen, I stand on the existing protocols. From this point on, I'm reading the words of the executive governor. This is the keynote address delivered by His Excellency Governor Mohammed Umaru Bago at the Future Cities Africa Green Building Summit 2024, Future Cities of Africa, a vision for tomorrow's urban landscape. It is with profound honor to stand before you at this esteemed summit, the Future Cities Africa Green Building Summit 2024, centered around the theme, Building Resilient Futures, Integrating Carbon Neutrality, Circular Economy, and Inclusive Urban Development. Today, I address you not merely as a leader, but as a dedicated steward of our precious land, committed to cultivating a sustainable and prosperous future for our continent. Our vision for tomorrow's urban landscapes is one of resilience, sustainability, and harmony with nature. We find ourselves at a pivotal point in history where the decisions we make today will reverberate through generations. The challenges before us are formidable, but so is our resolve to overcome them. Our urban planning and development are vital in creating vibrant, sustainable, and equitable cities, ensuring a balanced approach to growth that integrates development with essential infrastructure, services, and environmental considerations. Well-designed cities elevate the quality of life for their residents by providing accessible amenities, green spaces, and diverse transportation options. Incorporating green technologies, renewable energy, and efficient waste management into urban planning minimizes the ecological footprint of our cities. Inclusive planning priorities, inclusive planning prioritizes affordable housing, robust public transportation, community facilities, fostering social cohesion, and equitable access to resources. As we envision the future, our cities must transform into sustainable, efficient, and technologically advanced hubs that support the well-being of their citizens. Challenges facing future cities. 1, population growth and urbanization. Our cities are growing at an unprecedented rate. By 2030, 60% of the world's population is expected to reside in urban areas. This rapid urbanization pressures housing, services, and infrastructure, leading to overcrowding, slum formation, and resource strain. The challenge is not merely in accommodating this influx, but in ensuring that our urban environments can sustain this growth without compromising the quality of life or the integrity of our natural surroundings. 2, climate change and sustainability. Cities are significant contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, particularly through transportation, energy consumption, and waste management. Climate change poses substantial risks, including sea level rise, extreme weather events, and heat waves. It is imperative that we develop strategies to mitigate these effects and build resilience within our urban centers. This includes reducing our carbon footprint, transitioning to renewable energy sources, and implementing sustainable practices in all facets of urban life. 3, infrastructure and transportation needs. Aging infrastructure and inadequate transportation systems cause congestion, pollution, and diminished quality of life. Investing in modern sustainable infrastructure is, excuse me, please, and building resilience within our urban centers. This includes reducing our carbon footprint, transitioning to renewable energy sources, and implementing sustainable practices and in all facets of urban life. 3, infrastructure and transportation needs. Sorry, 4, please. Social and economic inequality. Disparities in income, education, and resource access in our cities lead to social and economic segregation. This perpetuates cycles of poverty and disadvantage, resulting in unequal access to opportunities, healthcare, and political representation. Our future cities must prioritize inclusivity, ensuring that all residents, regardless of socioeconomic status, have access to the resources and opportunities they need to thrive. Essential features for future cities. To create sustainable, resilient, and livable cities, we must integrate technology, innovative design, and sustainability. Some key features of future cities include the following. I'm sorry, can I have some water, please? 1, green infrastructure and sustainable energy. A, green roofs and walls. These structures provide insulation, reduce urban heat islands, and improve air quality by absorbing pollutants and providing habitats for wildlife. They also enhance the aesthetic appeal of urban areas, promoting mental well-being. Thank you. B, urban forests and parks. Green spaces are vital for the physical and mental health of residents. They offer recreational areas, reduce stress, and provide ecosystems that enhance biodiversity. Urban forests act as carbon sinks, helping to mitigate climate change. C, rainwater harvesting and management. Efficient water management systems capture and store rainwater for various uses, reducing the burden on municipal water supplies and minimizing flood risks. These systems are essential in regions facing water scarcity, ensuring a sustainable water supply. D, renewable energy sources. Transitioning to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and geothermal is crucial for reducing reliance on fossil fuels and mitigating the impact of climate change. These energy sources are abundant, sustainable, and increasingly cost-effective. E, energy-efficient buildings and lighting. Implementing energy-efficient practices in construction and urban design, such as using LED lighting and smart thermostats, reduces overall energy consumption and lowers emissions. These practices also lead to significant cost savings over time. Green infrastructure reduces urban heat islands, manages stormwater runoff, and improves air quality, contributing to healthier and more sustainable urban environments. 2, smart transportation systems and mobility solutions. A, electric and autonomous vehicles. These vehicles reduce emissions, improve safety, and enhance efficiency in transportation networks. Autonomous vehicles can optimize routes and reduce traffic congestion. B, public transportation systems. Expanding and improving public transportation options, including buses, trains, and trams, reduces reliance on personal vehicles and alleviates congestion. High-quality public transport systems are accessible, affordable, and reliable, making them a preferred choice for commuters. C, ride-sharing and care-sharing services. These services offer flexible transportation options that reduce the number of vehicles on the road, decrease emissions, and lower transportation costs for users. D, cycling and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure. Promoting active transportation options such as cycling and walking improves health outcomes, reduces environmental impact, and fosters a sense of community. Dedicated bike lanes and pedestrian pathways ensure safety and convenience. E, intelligent traffic management and optimization. Smart technologies such as traffic sensors and adaptive traffic lights can optimize traffic flow, reduce congestion, and minimize emissions. These systems use real-time data to manage traffic patterns effectively. Smart transportation reduces congestion, emissions, and travel times, enhancing the overall efficiency and sustainability of urban mobility. 3, innovative urban design and architecture. A, mixed-use development and walkable neighborhoods. Designing neighborhoods that integrate residential, commercial, and recreational spaces encourages walking and reduces the need for transportation. These areas are vibrant, diverse, and foster a strong sense of community. B, sustainable building materials and practices. Using environmentally friendly materials and construction methods such as recycled materials and low-energy construction techniques minimizes the ecological footprint of buildings. Sustainable practices also include incorporating natural ventilation and maximizing natural light. D, green spaces and urban agriculture. Incorporating green spaces and urban farming into city design promotes local food production, enhances community well-being, and supports biodiversity. Urban agriculture provides fresh produce, reduces food miles, and can be a source of income and education for residents. Innovative architecture promotes community engagement, social interaction, and a sense of place, creating vibrant and inclusive urban environments. Integration of technology and data-driven decision-making. A, smart city platforms and dashboards. These tools enable real-time monitoring and management of urban systems, improving efficiency and responsiveness. They integrate data from various sources to provide a comprehensive view of city operations from energy use to traffic flow. B, open data initiatives and citizen engagement, encouraging transparency and public participation in urban planning fosters a sense of ownership and collaboration among residents. Open data initiatives allow citizens to access and use city data, promoting innovation and accountability. C, Internet of Things integration. IoT devices can collect and transmit data on various aspects of city life, from air quality to waste management. This data can be used to optimize services, reduce waste, and improve the quality of life for residents. D, artificial intelligence and machine learning. These technologies can analyze vast amounts of data to identify patterns, predict trends, and make informed decisions. AI and machine learning can enhance city planning, resource management, and emergency response. E, data-driven decision-making optimizes resources, predicts maintenance needs, and improves public services, ensuring that cities operate efficiently and sustainably. By integrating these essential features, future cities can become hubs of innovation, sustainability, and prosperity, providing a high quality of life for their residents and contributing to a more resilient and equitable world. Future city concepts in action. Several cities around the world are already implementing future city concepts, serving as benchmarks for what we can achieve. Some include A, Singapore's Smart Nation Initiative. Singapore is leveraging technology to enhance urban living, improve public services, and create a sustainable environment. B, Copenhagen's carbon neutrality goals. Copenhagen aims to become carbon neutral by 2025, focusing on renewable energy, sustainable transportation, and green infrastructure. C, Master City's sustainable design. Master City in the UAE is a model of sustainable urban development, incorporating renewable energy, green buildings, and efficient transportation systems. Our commitment in Niger State. In Niger State, we're actively pursuing a vision of sustainable urban development through various initiatives and policies. Our commitment to building future cities is evident in our actions and strategies. 1, Green Niger Initiative. One of our flagship programs, the Green Niger Initiative, embodies our dedication to environmental stewardship. This ambitious project aims to plant 1 million trees by 2025. This effort is not only to enhance our green cover, but also contributes to climate resilience, reduce urban heat islands, and improve air quality. Trees play a critical role in sequestering carbon, providing oxygen, and supporting biodiversity, all of which are essential for creating sustainable and resilient urban environments. 2, renewable energy investments. Our administration has set an ambitious target to transition 50% of our energy mix to renewable sources by 2030. We're investing heavily in solar and wind energy projects, recognizing the importance of reducing our carbon footprint and promoting energy security by harnessing the abundant solar and wind resources in Niger State. We aim to create a sustainable energy infrastructure that not only meets our current needs, but also anticipates future demands. This transition to renewable energy will also spur economic growth by creating green jobs and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. 3, sustainable agricultural practices. Agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, and we have implemented several initiatives to make it more sustainable through the adoption of modern farming techniques and sustainable agricultural practices. We have increased crop yields by 25% while reducing fertilizer use by 30%. These practices not only improve food security, but also protect our natural resources. For instance, we promote crop rotation, organic farming, and the use of biopesticides, which enhance soil health and reduce environmental degradation. Our commitment to sustainable agriculture ensures that our farming practices are both productive and environmentally responsible. 4, compressed natural gas, CNG buses. In our quest to reduce carbon emissions and improve urban mobility, the state government has procured 200 compressed natural gas buses. These buses represent a cleaner, more sustainable alternative to traditional diesel-powered vehicles. By expanding our fleet of CNG buses, we are reducing air pollution, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and providing a reliable and eco-friendly public transportation system. This initiative aligns with our broader goals of promoting sustainable urban development and improving the quality of life for our residents. Green Economy Summit. Last year, we proudly hosted the Niger State Green Economy Summit, a landmark event that brought together experts, policymakers, and stakeholders to forge a path toward a green and prosperous future. At this summit, we unveiled the Niger State Green Economy Blueprint, a strategic document outlining our roadmap for sustainable development. This blueprint spans critical sectors such as renewable energy, transportation, infrastructure, agriculture, inclusivity, and tourism. It is a comprehensive guide detailing our vision, objectives, strategies, and actions designed to transform our state into a beacon of green prosperity. In the area of renewable energy, our blueprint includes plans for expanding our solar and wind energy capacity, investing in energy-efficient technologies, and promoting energy conservation practices. By 2030, we aim to generate at least half of our electricity from renewable sources. Generate at least half from renewable sources, reducing our dependence on non-renewable energy and lowering our carbon emissions. Sustainable transportation. We are developing a comprehensive sustainable transportation plan that includes expanding public transport, promoting non-motorized transport, and investing in electric and CNG vehicles. Our goal is to create a seamless, efficient, and eco-friendly transportation network that reduces traffic congestion and minimizes environmental impact. 3, green infrastructure. Our focus on green infrastructure includes enhancing urban green spaces, implementing rainwater harvesting systems, and incorporating green roofs and walls into our building designs. These measures help manage stormwater, reduce the urban heat island effect, and improve urban diversity. Sustainable agriculture. We continue to support sustainable agricultural practices by providing training and and resources to our farmers and providing resources to our farmers, promoting organic farming, and encouraging the use of renewable energy in agriculture. These efforts aim to increase agricultural productivity while preserving our natural resources. Tourism. We recognize the potential of ecotourism as a sustainable economic driver. Our plans include developing eco-friendly tourist attractions, promoting community-based tourism, and ensuring that our natural and cultural heritage is preserved for future generations. Our efforts extend beyond these initiatives. We have implemented policies that prioritize sustainability in all aspects of governance, from urban planning to economic development. For instance, our urban renewal projects incorporate green building practices, ensuring that new developments are energy efficient, resource conserving, and environmentally friendly. Excuse me. Our vision for the future. As we look to the future, we envision cities where green building practices are standard, where sustainable building methods minimize our ecological footprint, and where cities are energized by renewable resources. Water conservation and proactive waste management will be fundamental to our urban planning. To achieve this, we must unite in collective shift towards innovation, embracing cutting-edge technologies and sustainable energy solutions. We must foster partnerships across all sectors, from government to private enterprises and community organizations, to catalyze this green transformation. Call to action. The future is not a distant dream, but a reality we are actively shaping. Let us collaborate to construct cities that embody sustainability, equity, and prosperity for every Nigerian and African. Together, we can contribute to building Africa's future cities and shaping the urban landscape for generations to come through sustainable development drives. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Prof. Another round of applause for the Prof, please. Thank you so very much. We want to proceed. Thank you so very much, sir. In the speech, I was expecting it. The governor did find a way to connect being the farmer to urban cities, and he just said urban agriculture. That way I knew that Prof didn't doctor the lecture. This really came from Malam Bagu. Thank you again very much, sir. I just want to quickly recognize my teacher, uncle, Egbon, and everything, Professor Timothy Nubi. You're welcome again. Thank you for joining us today, sir. And my very own Michael, my very, very own Moses Ida Michael. I see you in the crowd. You're welcome to the program. Thank you. Now, I want us to quickly move on to the first goodwill message that we'll be receiving today. And we're bringing up stage the Chinese Consul General, Miss Yan Yo-Cheng. You people should clap for her and clap for me. I had to go for special practice to get that name right. You're welcome.
Okay, so respected President Daniel Manigu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm General Counsel of the People's Republic of China in Lagos. My Nigerian name is Ayo Uchi Fatima. Nice to meet you. So first of all, on behalf of the Chinese Embassy in Nigeria and the Consulate General in Lagos, I would like to extend my warm congratulations on the convening of the Africa Green Building Summit 2024 and wish the summit great success. Green building is an extension of the green urban development concept and represents a way of urban development and harmonizes human and nature. The theme of today's summit, integrating carbon neutrality, circular economy, and inclusive urban development, encompasses three critical concepts in global governance and sustainable development. These concepts collectively aim to reduce negative environmental impacts, enhance resource utilization, efficiency, and ensure social equity and inclusiveness. As the global economy has evolved to this point, common issues such as climate change, environmental pollution, and uneven development have become a Damocles sword hanging over the course of human history. How to achieve sustainable economic development and harmonious coexistence between humans and nature through innovative development concepts is a direction we urgently need to explore. The most complete industrial chain in the world gives China the capability to independently produce and manufacture everything from primary products to high-end finished goods. In recent years, China has demonstrated strong technological and innovative strength in many high-tech fields, such as 5G, artificial intelligence, and new energy, new industries, new business forms, and new models are yielding new economic growth. China has always been committed to the path of green development. China has made a solemn pledge to the world to peak its carbon emissions by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. This means that China aims to achieve its carbon reduction goals in the shortest time in global history. China topped the world in terms of various indicators of green development. For instance, it leads the world in the utilization of renewable energy, the output and sales of new energy vehicles, and the speed of air quality improvement. It is also home to the largest area of afforestation in the world, with the biggest increase in forest resources. Take electric vehicle as an example. According to the latest annual report, Global EV Outlook, released by the International Energy Agency, global electric car sales are set to remain robust in 2024, reaching around 17 million by the end of the year. In China, electric vehicle sales are projected to rise to about 10 million units, accounting for 45% of domestic car sales and nearly 60% of the global electric vehicle market. More than 1 in 5 cars sold worldwide this year is expected to be electric, with surging demand projected over the next decade set to remark the global auto industry and significantly reduce oil consumption for road transport. Meanwhile, if countries' announced energy and climate pledges are met in full and on time, 2 in 3 cars sold would be electric by 2035. In this scenario, the rapid uptake of electric vehicles will avoid the need for around 12 million barrels of oil per day, on a par with current demand from road transport in China and Europe combined. Thanks to the development of electric vehicles, China will also become the country that reduces the most greenhouse gas emissions through road electrification. The world needs more electric vehicle production capacity to drive the global goal of carbon neutrality. The technological revolution in electric vehicles will also provide more development opportunities for developing countries in the green economy sector and present historical opportunities for leapfrogging in the automotive industry. Nigeria and China's automotive industries have complementary advantages, and there is extensive room for future cooperation in areas such as lithium battery development, vehicle production and assembly, and the export of new energy second-hand vehicles. We look forward to more Chinese automotive companies investing in and establishing factories in Nigeria to elevate the overall level of Nigeria's automotive industry and assist Nigeria in achieving industrial modernization. It is encouraging that Chinese automotive companies are already actively participating. Just 2 days ago, I attended and witnessed, alongside His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, the signing of an automotive cooperation project between the Lagos State government and CIG Motors. The implementation of this project is sure to greatly promote efficient transportation, green mobility, and sustainable development in Lagos State and Nigeria as a whole. Dear friends, Chinese enterprises are important builders of Lagos. Companies such as CCCC, China Harbour, and Huawei have made outstanding contributions to the city's infrastructure construction and sustainable development in areas like roads, ports, and communications. Emerging industries with low energy consumption and high add value continue to develop, injecting new moment into global economic development and providing endless possibilities for cooperation between China and Nigeria in the fields of low carbon and sustainable development. We look forward to continuing to strengthen cooperation in green development and advancing the construction of a high-level China-Nigeria community with a shared future. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Ms. Yochain. Can another round of applause, please? Thank you. Before we proceed, I want to quickly recognize the presence of Mr. Ben Ayagio, Assistant Director, Renewable and Rural Power Access. He is representing the the Minister of Power, Honorable Adebayo Adelabu. Sir, you're welcome. Please recognize him. Thank you. Now we want to quickly move on to the next keynote address. And the topic that we'll be considering, oh, pardon me, bad manners. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Estate Surveyor and Valuer Adejumoke Akure. I'm a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuer, a member of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors UK. And I'm your compare. Please bear with me. So the next topic we're going to be looking at in the keynote address is Innovative Financing for Future Cities, Unlocking Capital for Sustainable Urban Development in Africa. Our speaker for today is the IFC Principal Country Officer and Head of Office Nigeria, Mr. Christian Mulamula. Please, as he comes on stage, please let me welcome with a round of applause. Mr. Mulamula, please. He will be speaking to us and we'll be looking at various innovative financing solutions and fast urban growth in Africa. Thank you very much. Mr. Mula, please.
First, I'd like to say thanks to the president of the Nigeria chapter of CBN, of GBC. I guess I'm used to speaking to the central bank governor, I guess, or something. Yeah. Representative of the Minister of Power, representative of the Niger State Governor, president of GBN Nigeria, representatives from local governments, municipalities, various other GBNs. I think I had Kenya, Mauritius, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa. Professionals from industry, distinguished guests. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here. Let me first applaud the Green Building Council of Nigeria for organizing this second edition of the Future Cities Summit, with support obviously from the IFC Edge. You have scaled up this edition by bringing in other building councils on the continent to discuss ways to transform our cities to achieve a sustainable and resilient future. Together as stakeholders at this summit, I hope we will exchange ideas and share knowledge. I hope we will find innovative strategies and come up with solutions to tackle the numerous challenges our continent faces within the urban environment within the context of climate change. IFC focus is on accelerating an inclusive transition to a low carbon environment and to resilient growth that is focused on people, jobs, and long-lasting industry progress. Today, I'll be discussing a topic of importance to everyone here: unlocking capital for sustainable urban development in Africa. Visit any capital city in Africa and you will quickly see the impact of urbanization. In the year 2000, about 24 years ago, about 35% of the population in Africa was considered urbanized. Today, it stands at 45% with an upward trajectory. I think the earlier keynote speaker mentioned about, that translates to about 2.5 billion people in Africa. As we see more and more people, or more and more of the population in Africa shift from rural to urban areas, this presents challenges for urban planners. And I think there are a number of urban planners in our midst today. For example, there is growing need for decent, affordable housing. There is also an urgent need to ramp up water, waste management, and electricity infrastructure. In addition, there are challenges around broadening digital connectivity to include those who are recently urbanized. These challenges, to which governments and local leaders must respond, come with a mounting slew of secondary challenges linked to sustainability. For example, as cities grow in size and population, we see growing concerns around greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, cities alone generate about 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. So that's something we must address. There is also mounting concern around pollution. More than 90% of the people living in urban areas worldwide are breathing air that is not considered safe under WHO standards due to high levels of pollutants. And I think there's also mentioned, one of the keynote speakers talked about increased number of slums in urban areas. Additionally, there is more uncertainty over water supply, always a challenge in urban areas. Overall, climate change is becoming more intrusive each year. Due to the denseness of our cities, they are particularly vulnerable to resulting extreme weather events. Against this backdrop, there is a need to unlock sustainable ways to develop our urban areas. The provision of increased affordable housing units must be done in a way that is environmentally conscious and energy efficient. For example, energy grids need to be and should be expanded, but ideally through ramping up of green and renewable energy solutions. And I think I had the representative from Niger State talk about expanding their green energy and renewable energy solutions in Niger State. Sustainable urban development is an opportunity to create thriving, inclusive, and resilient cities that can drive economic growth and improve the quality of life for millions of Africans. By investing in sustainable infrastructure, for example, renewable energy, affordable green housing, good transport systems, we can create cities that are livable, efficient, and environmentally friendly. It's not just about building infrastructure. It's about creating sustainable ecosystems that integrate socio-economic and environmental considerations. So what is stopping us from achieving these objectives? That is, sustainably developing our cities and improving quality of life at the same time? There are many factors, but one of the biggest hurdles is the lack of adequate capital and financing. Africa faces an annual funding gap of about $100 million for infrastructure, and experts say the gap is widening. In order to unlock sustainable development in our urban areas, we need to reverse this trend, this widening gap. We need to make concerted efforts to attract and unlock the right kinds of long-term financing that can support the transformative projects we need to boost sustainable development. The money is there, but we need to match funders with viable, sustainable, transformative projects. That is, match the right investor with the right project. We also need to incentivize investment by de-risking projects through innovative development financing. The private sector has a role and vested interest in promoting sustainable urban development. Beyond the business opportunities created, promoting sustainable development can enhance a company's brand and their reputation. Public and private sector partnerships can be forged to develop sustainable infrastructure projects, leveraging the experience and resources of both sectors, the private sector and the public sector. By aligning financial returns with social and environmental impact, we can attract private sector investment towards sustainable urban development, because the private sector obviously is very focused on financial returns, but we can bring and marry that also with social and environmental impact. This calls for a collective effort that involves the private sector, financial institutions like ourselves, and the government coming together. The private sector is very good at this. The private sector can spot viable opportunities and contribute its expertise and funds. Similarly, financial institutions can provide anchor investment capital where appropriate. They can help drive down risks associated with investments and help crowd in private investment. Meanwhile, there's a role for government. Governments need to create an enabling environment by putting in place supportive policies and regulations. An excellent example of how governments, financial institutions, and the private sector are unlocking financing for sustainable urban development is embodied in the Market Accelerator for Green Construction Program. That's the MAGC. The starting point for the program MAGC was the realization that green buildings represent a significant low carbon investment opportunity in emerging markets. The development of green buildings will require an estimated about $25 trillion of investment by 2030. This is according to our own estimates at the IFC. Research has shown that green buildings are a solid investment opportunity. They are of higher value, they preserve value, while carrying lower risk than conventional buildings. So that's the incentive there. Higher value, lower risk. However, the initial cost outlay for green buildings, unfortunately, is higher than that of conventional buildings, which means the risk premium is higher for some investors. That's how they'll perceive it. The higher upfront cost is sometimes perceived as a higher risk. At IFC, we have set out to work with other stakeholders to figure out ways to decrease the risk premium for investors upfront. The result was the Market Accelerator for Green Construction, MAGC, the first IFC UK bilateral partnership of blended concessional finance aimed specifically at climate change mitigation. How does it work? The program provides green building developers with access to capital at favorable terms, thus driving down the risks associated with taking on this kind of a project and removing the barriers to investor entry. The program is helping accelerate the construction of certified green buildings. That meaning buildings that follow energy efficient practices, driving down greenhouse emissions throughout the construction process and in daily operations, during the operation of the buildings. MAGC is now being rolled out at least 20 financial institutions across 23 countries, including Nigeria. It aims to establish a collective green construction portfolio of over 7 billion by the year 2025. The MAGC program includes an advisory component. For those who might be unfamiliar about it, the advisory program is intended to support business strategy, capacity building, market enabling, and research to scale green building construction finance. Through this advisory component, IFC staff, some who were introduced earlier this morning, support financial institutions to create financial products for green construction through technical assistance for developers and knowledge sharing workshops and capacity building to evaluate regional green construction opportunities. Lastly, the MAGC program actively promotes the market-wide adoption of green construction techniques and green certification practices embodied in the IFC's Excellence in Design for Greater Efficiencies program, commonly referred to as EDGE. EDGE is an IFC innovation that helps property developers to deliver resource-efficient green buildings in an efficient way. It brings speed, market intelligence, and an investment focus to green building certification. EDGE has certified more than 85 million square meters of built space in more than 170 countries. The funds provided by the UK government under MAGSI are used to catalyze construction markets that incentivize the development of green buildings through certification with EDGE. So that's a link between MAGSI and EDGE and other leading certifications. EDGE certification has grown exponentially across sectors and geographies. As of April 2024, the total EDGE certified real estate assets exceeded $80 billion in value. By collaborating with governments, providing concessional financing, crowding in private investors, and working to increase market-wide adoption of sustainable green building practices, the MAGSI program is unlocking meaningful change for good in the African urban development space. To really scale up sustainable urban development, we must tap in to local capital markets. That this is in addition to foreign funding, sort of dollar-denominated funding, we're now tapping into Naira funding. We can mobilize this local capital for sustainable projects by developing green financial products, encouraging responsible investment practices, and promoting sustainable banking. Lastly, we must prioritize knowledge sharing, which is the purpose of this workshop or conference, and capacity building. African cities can learn from successful sustainable urban development initiatives around the world. Platforms for knowledge exchange, such as this one, training programs, and technical assistance can empower local governments, developers, communities to implement sustainable practices efficiently. This summit is addressing some of those points by bringing councils from different countries to brainstorm and find solutions together. In conclusion, unlocking capital for sustainable urban development in Africa is not just an aspiration, it's an imperative. By embracing innovative financing models, some of which I've shared with you, fostering partnerships, which is why we're here, and leveraging local capital markets, we can create a future where African cities are vibrant, they're inclusive, and they are sustainable. Let us seize this opportunity to build a better tomorrow for our cities, for our people, and for our continent. I wish you a very rewarding and successful summit that helps us to collectively uncover practical ways to build a resilient future for us all. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mula. We were having a side joke, both of us, and I was giving him his time scope. And he said I shouldn't worry, he will use less than that. And he kept to his word. Thank you very much. You said livable, efficient, and environmental friendly. And that's our aim. When you spoke about crowding in finance for solutions in Africa, I just wondered, I mean, we're not needing to go far. Africans were community people. That's the way we are. And so when it comes to some of the most important aspects of our lives, we tend to forget that. So it's important that we start thinking some of our traditional ideas, they're not old-fashioned. They're really the source of existence. So I want us to be able to think let's go back, think inward again, and bring out those great ideas that can help shape our nation, our continent. And like you said, not aspiring is imperative. You spoke about edge. I was going to use edge to close by that IFC is putting their mouth where their money is. They've started the work and they're doing edge. We have some edge experts here in the room. There's Bukanda, there's Tenny, there's MKO, Balogun. And yesterday, Dennis was saying that it's not about, don't rush out to solar. It's not always about the new thing. It's about even trying to manage waste and look at inside and see the things that you can reduce to begin to even account for that green currency we already have. Thank you so very much, Mr. Mula. Now, I want us to go quickly to, I call her Aluta. That's the new name we just gave her. I want to introduce the chair of the African Regional Network of the World Green Building Council and the CEO, Kenya Green Building Society, Nazra Nanda, to come give a goodwill message. Sorry, we had a domestic accident. Ignore the limp.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to say it's a great honor to welcome you all to this significant summit on building resilient futures, especially in the African context. Today, we gather to address one of the most critical challenges of our time, namely, one, ensuring that our cities can build resilience and withstand and thrive when dealing with several different pressures. Second, climate change. Third, rapid urbanization. And lastly, rapid social and economic transformations. And so it is against this backdrop, really, that this is particularly an important and relevant conversation for this continent, which has, this year alone, been tested by several challenges, and in many ways makes this conversation very apt for this time. A key example was the flash floods that saw several countries in Africa affected, namely Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Somalia, Congo, Niger, and several others, with the result of having over 800,000 people affected and displaced by May alone. That is why, when it comes to the sustainability conversation and the Global South, we cannot talk about Global North priorities and perspectives for the Global South. The African conversation must be led by Africans. And the climate conversation for Africa is different, because when it comes to Africa, the climate conversation is very much a development conversation. The two cannot be separated. And when we think about sustainability in Africa, we need to make it inclusive, because in Africa, we have to realize that for sustainability to work, the sustainability conversation needs to be mindful of our population. By this I mean, for example, in Nairobi alone, 60% of the population reside in informal settlements. So when we just talk about buildings, we're denying the opportunity to empower informal communities into green and thriving communities. So Africa needs to be firm in championing this conversation in a way that carries all of its people, all of her people, because we can't afford to leave anyone behind if we want Africa to win. And especially when we think about African cities are really the heartbeat of this continent's growth and innovation. However, they also face a unique series of challenges which require us to be innovative, forward-thinking, and collaborative. And I'm hoping that this conference and this summit will bring together African thinkers, African doers, and African strategists who think about sustainability in a multilateral approach. So you need to think about Africa as a region and sub-regions. You need to think about Africa in terms of states at a national capacity, but you also need to look at the subnational level. Because at all those capacities, we need to be empowered so that collaboration can really be effective. And then we also need to think about why we haven't moved the needle forward. We heard from the IFC that there's money, but why haven't we accessed it? It's because we need to unpack what bankability means. For you to access this money, we need to understand what checklist do we need to confirm or require or comply to for us to access this money. But separately, I also want to challenge the IFC. I want to challenge the IFC in this regard. If the money is there, help us understand, in line with the priorities for Africa, which is resilience, which is ensuring communities are brought forward, how can you walk this journey with Africa? Because it's important for the IFC to demystify the conversation around finance. It needs to speak to a language that we can understand so that we can help ourselves and empower our communities. So over the next few days, we will engage in insightful discussions. I hope we also, though, engage in a roadmap, an action plan. The time for talk is over, guys. As Africans, we need to take charge of our future. And I want to thank you all for joining us from across Africa. It really gives me a lot of pride to be amongst you, because I know in this room we have the champions that will redefine the power and growth of our continent. So I want to say, with all my heart, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations to Nigeria GBC and all the other GBCs who are really champions in driving the conversation forward. I want to thank the IFC for partnering with us, the Republic of China for being present as a key partner in growth, the sponsors as well. And mostly, I want to say, and this is my plea and challenge to you, Africans, Africa, it's time to take charge of the future. And the future is here. And the future is you and I. Viva Africa. Thank you.
I'm sure no one is in doubt why I called her Luta. Another round of applause for Nazra Nanda again. Thank you so very much. Chair, World Green Brain Council, Africa Regional Network. Thank you very much, ma'am. Our story has to say, has to understand and explain. And like you have said, you need to teach us the way we should do that so that we can succeed. And if there is not only brief for IFC, but something that I have noticed in the past experiences with them is they do not like building silos. They do not like to do one-man hit wonder. They want to be able to spread an expression across different platforms, and it's something they fight for. I've seen it even in healthcare, and I know it's something that they're very particular about. So, but we say this is now, and we need to be able to translate it to the language that we understand and can work for this great continent. Thank you once again, Ms. Nanda. Now, I want to call one of our professional bodies here to give, we are going to give it 2 minutes, 1.58 minutes, really, to talk to us. But I also want to announce that we do have exhibitors out there that have put out their products for us to come look at. We have great products out there. There's the WaterGen, we've got Elanan, Mixer Africa, Lit Dyers Consult Limited, GBFI, Lafarge, BFAM, Paralu, Non-Urban Sustainable Development, Axis Bank, Julius Berger, and then we have Innovate UK that are here with some very mind-opening ideas and are also looking to partner both in this way and out that way. And it would be lovely if during lunch, don't just breeze by. Actually, stop, listen, ask questions, because they've got great ideas that we really can use to transform even our own business cases in our businesses. So please, I'd like you to please let me make welcome, representing the president of the Architect Registration Council of Nigeria, Architect Badamose Farati. He will be speaking, I just changed 1.57 minutes. Please make welcome Akisefarati.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, I was at the Youth Empowerment Exchange, and someone asked this question. How would you explain sustainable construction to a 7-year-old? And we had a couple of answers, and it struck me a bit. And I didn't even know I was going to be here again today to speak on behalf of the president of ACON. But I'll quickly read this out. Sustainable construction is like building a house that helps to take care of the earth. It means using materials that don't hurt nature, saving energy and water, and making sure the house is healthy for people to live in. It's like building a strong, happy home that is also kind to the environment. And on this note, I would like to, on behalf of Sir Architect Dipo Ajayi, express my profound gratitude for being invited to this event. It's with great pleasure I stand before you today as the President of the Architect Relation Council of Nigeria at this great groundbreaking event featuring CEOs, delegations from 10 of Africa's green building councils, as well as representatives from major cities across the continent, with this major theme: building resilient futures, integrating carbon neutrality, circular economy, and inclusive urban development. It's widely understood that buildings contribute significantly, to greenhouse emissions globally. And amongst some of these activities, energy consumption for cooling and heating of buildings contributes close to about 30% of energy consumption worldwide, and up to 40% of greenhouse emissions. The Net Zero Carbon Initiative was negotiated by 195 countries and was adopted in December 2015, to which Nigeria is a signatory. I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to skip some of these things here because it's been said by some of our keynote speakers, and they've done a profound work at enlightening us about what the theme stands for and how we should engage and participate. However, Nigeria currently is at a crossroads where we need about 20 million homes in 2014 alone. And this number is expected to significantly grow by 2050. As a result, Nigeria is considered globally as a potential carbon hotspot due to the energy and greenhouse emissions associated with meeting this demand for housing and infrastructure by 2050. The World Bank and the European Union, as well as the Nigerian government, is doing extremely a lot to fund the Nigerian Energy Support Program. This is a program that has been subscribed to by not only the Architect Registration Council of Nigeria, but several other associations of professional bodies. What is ACON doing? What are we doing? We're trying as much as possible to develop an energy standard for buildings in Nigeria, the development of an energy-efficient building code, the development or an initiation of the Train-a-Trainer scheme for energy-efficient buildings and design. ACON is championing the training of Nigerian architects and Nigerian architectural educators in energy-efficient designs in buildings. ACON is pleased to invite all the delegates from African Green Building Councils, representatives of cities across Africa, and other stakeholders in the built environment to share their experiences and constructive suggestions with us. We seek to impute these strategies to achieve a sustainable and inclusive, resilient future for the built environment in Nigeria. As we engage in activities lined up for this year's event, let us remember that our collective efforts today will shape our future of human existence. Let us seize this opportunity to forge partnerships, exchange ideas, explore new avenues for collaboration that will not only advance this theme of this gathering, but also contribute to the creation of sustainable and resilient built environments for us all. I wish you all a productive and enlightening conference, and I look forward to fruitful discussions and collaborations that will emerge from this gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Exhibitor. Architects and precision. Yes, I said 1.5, so he did the calculation. He finished exactly 2 minutes. Precise. He made sure he took it without asking. Thank you very much for the goodwill message. Another round of applause for Architect Farate, please. We are going into the plenary session, but we've all been sitting for quite a while. Can we just stand on our feet for a few minutes? Just stretch, stand on our feet. We can excuse Architect Farate. He just stood for 2 minutes, but you can just stretch, yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Tebi. I see you. Thank you very much. And I do hope you have introduced yourself to the person on your left and right and shared some bit of camaraderie. Thank you. Thank you very much. Lovely. Thank you. Please put on a good smile. Those are some of our camera moments. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we can be back on our seats now. We can be back on our feet now. Thank you again to the Registration Council of Nigeria. There are other members of what we call the Association of Professionals in the Beauty Industry. And if we do get any other persons here, we would recognize them later. We've got the town planners, the quantity surveyors, the estate surveyors and valuers, architects, and land surveyors, all members of the beauty industry. So if you find any other institution or registration council that is around, please let us know and we would recognize you. We are part of this green journey together. So I want to bring up stage So I want to call the moderator of this event, Builder Adekunle Onobekun. He's a director in the Green Building Council Nigeria. He'll be moderating this event, this plenary session. And the topic we'll be looking at is enhancing technology for smart and sustainable urban development in Africa. And as we speak, I want all members, moderator and speakers to note the charge that we had gotten from IFC and even from Ms. Nanda that we must speak African and we must look inwards. So that's our charge. Add it to the bill. So, Builder Onobekun, please, can you come up stage? A round of applause for Builder Onobekun, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol are duly observed. As rightly introduced, my name is Builder Adekunle Onobekun, and I'm the moderator for Harnessing Technology for Smart and Sustainable Urban Development in Africa. But an ant would never move without soldier. And my soldiers today are my panelists, which I will be introducing to the high table. The very first one is Architect Ahmed Usman Noibi, Principal Partner, Icon Architecture OCA. Is he here, please? Stand up for recognition. Please come forward. Followed by a very good friend, sustainable person, Tony Lee Luhen, Founding Director, CEO, GBC Mauritius. Please come forward. And I have Dr. Ikechukwu Ukaibu, is a technical lead, Arab. He will be joining us online. And I have Mr. Emmanuel Etedei, the green bond man. If you need any money on green, just look for him. The door is open. And I wouldn't know whether Mr. Moses Ida, oh wow, please come forward. Thank you. So we are going to be brief as much as possible. All the questions have been identified so that we will just go straight to the business of the day. Introduction of this plenary section, we are going to explore technology in addressing challenges of rapid urbanization in Africa. And is going to be moderated by the industry leader. This section will highlight artificial intelligence, that is AI, Internet of a Thing, and data analytics and renewable energy are transforming the environment, and water conservation, successful application in transport, energy, waste management, and water conservation, emphasizing the inclusive and equitable tech adoption. The discussion will also stress the importance of multi-sectoral partnership in driving tech-driven urban innovation in Africa. Thank you, Mr. Tony. So to the panelists, I will start by Architect Ahmed Usman Noibi. Can you tell us the journey so far in adoption of artificial intelligence, Internet of a Thing, data analysis, and renewable energy? And we have a very short time on this, so please.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will be quick on this, so you have to catch up. Internet of Things, data analysis, artificial intelligence. These are the key pillars that are shaping the future of African cities. In terms of innovation, artificial intelligence has become a driving force for positive change in Africa. You can see its impact in various sectors such as construction, medicine, agriculture, data analytics. In Africa, we have the African Union Artificial Intelligence Strategy, which was recently signed by the African Union Ministers of Information. It aims to improve adoption of AI by making it sustainable, making it risk-free, and to promote African-based artificial intelligence content. In terms of challenges of artificial intelligence adoption in Africa, we can see that we have limited infrastructure, lack of skilled artificial intelligence specialists to build content, and then there's also this lack of robust framework to support this artificial intelligence. Without robust framework, it's going to be abused, so government has to come in and do that. there's a lot of opportunities in adoption of AI, as you can see, which can be fostered by a collaboration between the tech industry, government, and academic institutions. Internet of Things, on the other hand, this is a collection of devices that facilitates connection to the cloud, communication to the cloud, and communication between themselves. We can see improvement in Internet of Things via application in traffic management, waste management, water management, as can be seen in places like Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. Smart metering is used to improve energy distribution through Internet of Things. Traffic congestion using sensors can be used to manage effective traffic analysis. And we can see water and waste management also being used through the smart communication between the AI and Internet of Things. The challenges we have with the Internet of Things is it involves a lot of costs in this infrastructure, and that is where we need investment in this. We need also robust data and security framework to protect, because these are areas that can be hacked and abused if not properly managed. In terms of data analysis informs policy making and urban planning. In the African scene, we recently have the African Union Data Initiatives, which aims to promote effective use of data, communication, and dissemination. This is it's a policy that was laid out to facilitate effective data interpretation and in the academia and also in the public realm. We need to promote interagency data sharing. We need to also have a robust framework for data management in order to promote this field. In terms of renewable energy, Africa is making great strides in investments in terms of renewable energies, as can be seen in solar and wind power. South Africa has a lot of investment in solar panels, as can be seen in the Kathu solar power plant, which is a concentrated solar power that uses a parabolic trough with molten salt storage and generates over 100 megawatts of electricity. Also in North Africa, in Morocco, we have the Nour concentrated solar plant, which over the past 6 years has generated over 800 gigawatts of electricity. That has been a very, very important step in the use of renewable energy. In terms of wind energy, the Lake Turkana power plant in Kenya is one of the biggest in Africa and generates about 18% of the demand in Kenya's energy using clean energy. With collaboration between AI and smart IoT, we can lower the cost of energy generation and dissemination and improve our cities by making it more affordable and reachable to all parts of the society.
That's a great one. Thank you so much. Smart and timely. The second one is Mr. Tony Luhen. Mr. Tony Luhen, you have worked on several large-scale development smart city around Africa. Can you tell us the challenges vis-a-vis digital twin, BIM implementation 19650? What are the opportunities, the challenges, and the implementation? So you can easily tackle it in that three formats, please.
Thank you, sir. First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm Tony from Mauritius. Before we get into technology, I think the narrative around technology also needs to be understood, because when we talk about things like machine learning, AI, IoT, these are quite complex technologies, and we need to understand also what are we trying to achieve. So I'll start by saying when we talk about an African narrative, first, when we talk about technology, we need to be looking at nature-based solutions. What His Excellency mentioned also about green infrastructure and blue infrastructure. Having been around also around a bit of Lagos, I think it's very important to use nature-based solutions as technology to be able to create something which is a smart city. Like, for example, planting a tree is very important to reduce the urban heat island reduction and also to create shade. It's the best HVAC system that a building can have is to have a tree next to your building. So we need to, to first try to focus on things that it's like lower hanging than going into complex technology. And like the moderator has mentioned, when we talk about data, the first thing is to have digital twins. So to be able to map whatever we have as assets in a virtual imprint of it. And I think that's the basic low-cost thing that can be done by any government, by any city, because it doesn't take a lot of money to build a digital map, because we can have the private sector to do their own buildings and feed that into the system. Once we have data on each building, data of each area, we can then easily make informed decisions. We can have a dashboard seeing everything that's happening and inform data. IoT, AI, etc., I think comes as a second phase of having the digital twin of a city. Having worked on some of these projects, the main issue that we have with technology is the first cost. It's basically you're going to develop hectares of land, but you need to put infrastructure first. And a lot of time, investors, they don't want to pay and have to wait for their return, because the return will only come when you've built like 10, 30, 100 of developed buildings before we get the money. So it's very difficult to finance technology and an infrastructure scale. And mainly, a lot of cities around the world, they don't have much money, and even private sector, they don't want to put a lot of money also invest into this. So because of these challenges, we need to rethink also how to finance the technology part in smart cities, in large-scale development. I think that's where it needs to have what we talk about, the multi-sector collaboration, how we do that, the de-risking, and a lot of these technologies are owned by big multinationals, like Huawei, for example. Maybe we can be looking at a solution as a product as a service, instead of paying upfront, than to pay as we use it. So there's lots of different ways, and one last thing I want to touch on is the importance of innovation and to be able to pilot technologies. Because I think all the implementation of technology starts with pilot. So we need to start first small and do pilot projects, and then we see how we can scale these pilot projects. And I think Africa has a lot of innovators, a lot of startups, lots of good ideas, and we need to be able to support that financially. So yeah, thanks. I think.
Thanks you so much, Mr. Tony, for that beautiful one there. So we will be joining Dr. Ikechukwu online. Dr. Ikechukwu is the technical lead, Arup, Nigeria. Doctor, are you with us? Yes. That's great. So I want you to tell us the positive impact of AI and IoT that has contributed to sustainable transportation infrastructures in urban city development. Most especially, I wouldn't want you to go into Africa as a whole, but I'm going to streamline you to Nigeria. What you intend to do for us, because I know Arup, when it comes to infrastructure development in Africa, you have done a lot. So please take us there.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be living in diaspora, as I'm going to say, so my experience will be, my presentation will be colored by my experience over here, but I believe there's a lot of things we can learn and knowledge we can transfer and use in our local situations, especially in Nigeria. The application of AI and IoT in transportation fall under the broader concept known as smart or intelligent mobility. Intelligent mobility seeks to harness advanced technology, data-driven planning, design, and operation, in order to support the ceaseless movement of people and goods from one place to the other through the use of integrated, multimodal, and sustainable transport systems. So this includes new and emerging areas such as connected and automated vehicles, drone delivery services, mobility as a service, and intelligent transport systems such as smart traffic lights and smart parking, smart EV charging. So all these constitute what we refer to as intelligent mobility. The contribution of these innovations to sustainable transportation in urban development is far-reaching. In fact, we could say it's very disruptive. And some of these key benefits includes, first, improved efficiency. Intelligent mobility gives users access to real-time information about their travel journeys, allowing them to make decisions that will improve efficiency and reduce overall travel time. Another important benefit is better environment. Intelligent mobility makes it easy, possible, and encourage people to make use of environmentally friendly transportation modes that we all know how to reduce greenhouse emissions. So things like electric vehicles, scooters. So these make it possible for people to adopt environmentally friendly transportation modalities. A third benefit or positive impact of intelligent mobility is improved well-being. So by reducing congestion in our roads, by reducing pollution, both air and noise, intelligent mobility makes our cities to be more. Now another benefit is improved safety. Most of these technologies, when deployed properly, especially like connected vehicles or automated vehicles, have shown potential to reduce collisions of up to 90% that result from human errors. Excuse me. Another important benefit and possible impact is cost, the cost effect. Most of these intelligent technologies allowed for new operating models. For example, rideshare. This allowed the pooling of various transport systems, allowing such services to be offered cheaper and more affordable. Also, they have this net effect of reducing the overall level of transportation systems required in a typical urban environment, and allowing that makes it easy for governments to cope with ever-increasing urban population. And the last but not the least benefit is new business opportunities. Now, smart technologies deployed in transportation has led to the proliferation of a lot of tech startups who are offering value to customers using new business models such as mobility as a service. For example, so users can access and pay for real-time information on various transportation, both public and private, allowing them to make good decisions how to move themselves from one place to the other. So all these are the positive impacts which smart technologies, of which AI and IoT are examples, have been having in transportation. Before I end, I would like to give an example of application of smart technology in one of the projects my colleagues at Arab have done in previous year. Unfortunately, it's not in Nigeria, but I think there's a lot we can learn from it. The project is titled Drive Smart. So it's done in conjunction with the New York City Department of Transport. So the goal of the project is to give drivers a device which they install in their vehicles that device pull real-time data from the diagnostic port of the vehicle, and that data is pushed directly to the cloud where it is stored, processed, and analyzed. And drivers are given real-time feedback on important KPIs such as how to drive safely, how to reduce fuel consumption, how to avoid traffic. In addition, drivers are rewarded for use by
Doctor, even if I allow you for 1 hour, you will not stop. Technology is sweet. Once you are an actor in the field and you know what it is, even if they allow you or wake you up from the bed, you will just be talking and be talking. So I know already you are in for that. So thank you so much, Doctor. So I'm going to the bond man, Mr. Emmanuel. What are the bane of technology adoption on DEI? DEI means diversity, equity, inclusion in a circular economy. So I want you to be brief.
Thank you very much. And my name is Emmanuel Itadiri. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Financial Center for Sustainability Lagos, which is part of the United Nations Development Program, International Financial Centers for Sustainability in Geneva and in 44 countries of the world. I also work, and that's my main job, in FMDQ as Head of Government Affairs. FMDQ has a green exchange. I guess that's why they're calling me the bond man, the green bond man. For years, I worked with FSD Africa to introduce the Nigerian Green Bond Market Development Program, which is meant to help us see how we can get the private sector guys to issue green bonds in alignment with what the federal government started with the sovereign green bonds. The question has to do with DEI and technology. The way I tackled it was to look at the question in 3 component parts. I think first, technology. Technology is actually an enabler, if you ask me, to secularity, and it's agnostic to DEI, whether to diversity, equity, or inclusion. It actually enables us to have more, information around how to tackle issues around diversity, equity, and inclusivity. Lagos that we live in, for example, has 123,000 migrants coming in every day. We worry about Japa, and Japa is like people going outside Nigeria, right? We're worried about that. Well, I don't think we have 123,000 Nigerians in a year going out. But we have 123,000 Nigerians on the rural communities coming into Lagos. For them, Lagos is the Japa place, is the overseas. And these people are not planned for. I sat with somebody for the Ministry of Planning in Lagos State, and I was just smiling because I know the kind of headache they will have to think about how to tackle Lagos. Lagos has over 200 slums, and you're builders, all right? You're sustainable builders. You should be concerned about the proliferation of slums. If we have slums proliferating, we're not meeting goal 11 of the SDGs, which is sustainable cities and communities. We are breeding havens for criminals and all kinds of people. We are creating a very unsustainable environment. We are creating, enhancing, increasing blockage of drainages. People will build shanty buildings all over the place. They will build on floodplains, and it will lead to flooding. And as we've seen in the last few days, and has been predicted yesterday, in the next 4 days with heavy rains, more flooding, danger. Even if you live in the so-called plush and highbrow area of Lekki, you are not safe. I think you're even more exposed, if you ask me. So I think as builders, I'm not a builder, but I'm in the sustainability space, and there's an alignment between builders and sustainability. If we don't build sustainably, we cannot have that resilient future we're looking at. If we don't build using materials that help to conserve nature's resources, which are finite, then we will not have that future we're looking for. We can't speak about carbon neutrality and still continue to use the materials that deplete the environment. Forgive me, I think your sector is one of the heaviest
hitters or the guiltiest when it comes to carbon emissions, right? That is why when China wanted to do its carbon policy, they started with the building sector and renewable energy, and started placing carbon taxes on those people so they can find a way to emit less, and offset more. So we, as builders, we must be focused on how we can introduce circularity into our processes. Some smart companies already started this. Lafarge uses waste, just your normal waste, to reinforce the cement, all right? And I think that should be enhanced. Let's bring it more local to even the issue around the DI you mentioned. Do you know that there are smart young Nigerians that are using water hyacinth? Water hyacinth is normally a terror to water navigators, those who do fishing, boating, water transportation. But smart young Nigerian ladies, we spoke to inclusivity, equity, and so smart young, I'll give you two firms. Minimet is a firm led by a lady. She uses water hyacinth to make household products, different things that she constructs from water hyacinth. Water hyacinth can be used to create biochar. Biochar is a component that you can introduce into the cement manufacturing process and reduce, its emission capabilities. You want to go on and on. There's a young lady in Ibadan that uses sachet water wastes. So we must look at how we can integrate sustainability and resilience and work with the kind of resources or materials that will help us conserve nature's finite resources and build sustainably into that future that we desire. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Lastly, we have Mr. Moses Idan Michael. What are the PPP strategies? PPP means private partnership strategy in achieving sustainable, innovative partnership for urbanization through PPP in Africa.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, panelists. Thank you so much for having me. Partnership between the public sector and the private sector is required if we really want to arrive at the circular economy, which we are hoping to lead us to carbon zero, the point where, which is what this conference is about. Now, in my experience, I've seen maybe 3-4 things that would be really key for the partnership to work between public sector and private sector. Number one is a purpose to the partnership. So many times partnerships are not well formed. If they are formed for political reasons, then they don't work well. Of course, we all have the reasons why we want to do a partnership, but it shouldn't be just merely to score a political point from the political side or from the private sector side to look like as if they're doing something with the public sector. When the purpose is known, then it's easy for the partnership to really work. And in one of the places where I've seen longevity of purpose, in this number 2 place, which is the most sustainable city in the world, Copenhagen. I was in Copenhagen Business School in the year 2013, and at that time, they already evolved a strategy for carbon zero, and they pushed that strategy all the way until today, so that today they are actually number 2 only behind Singapore. So that's actually what longevity of purpose and vision looks like. We cannot start and stop, and because one administration ends, then we stop the policy and then do our own green policy for public-private partnership. The agency in Nigeria tasked with privatization is the PPP project is the ICRC, which is the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission. One of the most interesting projects they have come across that I personally saw was the PPP project for fiber over power lines, and this project ran into trouble in the year 2018 until now, when the new Minister of Science and Technology is now picking up fiber to the curb and looking for ways in which he's going to build 90,000 kilometers of fiber around Nigeria. Now, if this policy starts and stops once again, because in that time, a private company was partnering with the federal government, and the partnership didn't go well. So these are the fears people have. So I would say 3 or 4 things to look for. Number 1 is just that purpose. Number 2, competence. Put good people at the lead of everything. Let people who are professionals, people who understand what they're doing, lead the conversation. Let them help us to hash out how to do the sharing formula. I'm so glad that IFC is in the room and driving the charge with energy efficiencies that we're looking for. But we need IFC, we need the individual companies in the private sector that are doing stuff. We need government departments, such as like what His Excellency, the Governor of Niger State, has proposed. We need governments to stand up in that particular kind of place and look for something. That thing should be competence, the right people in the right place. Number 3 point I would say is negotiation. Let's be flexible in the way we negotiate. If we see that we run into hitches in the projects, we shouldn't all bang each other on the head. We should look for ways in which we can come back and take a look at the project again. Sometimes the project looks like as if it's a law, as if you can't bend it, because we've already started the project and we already have signed deals, but you run into hitches which you do not know. Like crazy things like, maybe like COVID or something like that. You run into hitches like that. You have to come back to the drawing table and everybody has to agree to modify for the changes they see. And then also finally, I would say exit. Every project should have a terminal time. You shouldn't have a PPP project that lasts forever. So people complain about concessioning and different kind of projects that last into eternity. When the project has run its course, when the partners have made their money, is there a time when we give the people a break? Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. As a built environment professional and business-oriented personality, we should be time conscious. So we have come to the end of our presentation. Now we are going to the questioning and answering. This questioning and answering is going to be limited because of time. So from the audience, we will need 5 people to ask questions, and we'll close it up while the panelists will be responding to the answers.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to mention something about partnerships because that's very important. I think we talk about public-private partnership, but there's a big stakeholder that's missing in the conversation because it needs to have also what we call a public, private, and people partnership. So we forget a lot about the people in national projects. We just talk about private, we just talk about public, but what about the people? Because people is an important component, an important stakeholder in partnership, in developing national projects. And I just wanted to
I agree with you.
That.
And even in sustainability and the green building initiative all over the world, the first point of call is people. Is people. So there is nothing you want to talk about. And that is why in GBCS category, the first thing is management, and that management is people. When people don't understand what you want to do, definitely the project is going to look like something else. So thank you, Mr. Tony. It's not out of place, but because we are running against time, so many things we will skip. So please, to the audience, we just need first 5 questions. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. That's all. That's the 6. Please, can you help us with the mic, please? Just tell us your name and your question, please, so that we can be... Hello?
Sir, can you put your hands up so I can give you a mic?
From here.
Sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm Professor Oko from a rural electrification agency. I just want to thank the panelists for a good, presentation, so to speak. But I have concern, and my concern revolve around sustainability and people management, like you rightly referred. We're discussing about green, and resilient ecosystem.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, does this have to be, isn't it something that should be like a road show, so to speak? What do I mean by a road show? I'm talking about carrying the people along.
Yeah.
Like some of you referred earlier, what is happening in Lagos and virtually everywhere in Nigeria, where you have seated, drainage and everything. My point here is our life, our lifestyle. How can we, using this platform, knowing what you know, to educate those that refuses to accept the reality that time is up? How can we do that, please?
Okay, thank you. Noted. I think Architect Usman, you should be able to handle that. Not now. So let's take the question round. So we're just taking note. Thank you, sir. Prof.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Professor Timothy Benganubi.
The name again, sir?
Professor Timothy Benganubi.
Okay.
For the Center for Housing and Sustainable Studies, University of Lagos.
Okay.
The comment of, I didn't really pick your name, concerning the slum.
Mr. Greenbond Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that insight. My worry is, can we carry, how can we ensure an African future city with the burden of slum? With the burden of slum. How can we ensure a future with this huge body of slum? Is worrisome. It's increasing from 46 slum identified in 1992 to 200. It's increasing, it's not reducing. How can we have a sustainable future cities with this burden of slum? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
I do apologize. I'm having to take the mic to bridge. I want to be gender balanced, so I'm going to allow the lady who's raising her hand to ask our question, and then we have to, with all due respect, bring this session to a close. We're really eating into time. So I will bring the mic out of gender consideration to you. Yes, ma'am. Support. Sis, please meet me halfway. Don't shoot me. Please come to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. Thanks to the panelists. I am Hadebisi Oluwakemi. So my question, Dr. Ikechukwu that joined online, he mentioned something about the transportation system and how it's a little bit realistic because it's cost effective, and then there is reduced risk of having toxic emission in the environment. So when it comes to implementing green building materials and construction in a country like Nigeria, developing countries, one of the bottlenecks that we keep having is the implementation cost. I actually carried out a research on this kind of subjects at my MSc level, trying to implement smart technologies in buildings, and where we got stuck was this cost matter. So I want the panelists to speak to it. How do we come out of this? Because this is something that is really needed. How do we mitigate costs? What is the industry doing about making it realistic, with this cost bottleneck?
Thank you.
Okay, noted.
Those are the questions. Please.
Questions? Close?
Yes, closed.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think you will start first, followed by Mr. Emmanuel, then I will cap it off.
All right.
Thank you.
So to answer the question regarding the awareness in terms of the threats, the environmental effect of the greenhouse effect, we have to start with advocacy. Advocacy in the sense there has to be a lot of information dissemination. This starts with capacity building. We have to go back to the grassroots, start from the schools. As can be seen in developed countries, right from kindergarten, they are being taught about sustainability. We have to put that in our curriculum. We have to put that in the discipline, how to responsibly use our resources. Then we go into the society through market, through advertisement, through information dissemination. Also, we need government to also come into play by giving a good policy support and sometimes incentives. If I will give a good example is the adoption of solar panels and LED lights. Before now, a lot of people are reluctant to transition to this solar energy, but by the time the electricity subsidy was taken up, everybody is now embracing this. If government had gradually pushed for this kind of policy, giving subsidy and incentives for the adoption, this would have since been the norm. Example is in Rwanda. Rwandan government has made it mandatory for every public building and municipal structures to have solar panels. So that they have a target by end of this year, 50% of the energy consumption has to come from renewable energy. I think that is a strategy that we can use to push this, if I answer your question.
Thank you, Aksam Mohammed. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. The problem is hydra-headed, Prof, but it will involve the PPP, private, public sectors, and the people. Let me start from the people angle. So those migrating into Lagos, we can't tell them to go back. So most of us are migrants too. I'm a migrant. All right? But what we can do is to go back and invest in our areas so that we can, if people find things to do that will make them achieve their goals in life, they will not need to migrate. So I drove from Asaba, that's my home state, Delta, to Enugu for a conference. And I saw the lush green environment. And I was wondering, how come those Igbo billionaires, Delta billionaires in Lagos that own banks and major companies don't come back home to invest? The security situation we face can be addressed if there's economic activity to bring resources, to bring succor, to bring wealth to people in those areas. So the governors of those states, all the states, should encourage their people who are in the cities to invest back home. Then Lagos should stick to its planning. If you've designated some areas as green, keep it green. If they're on unoccupied buildings, uncompleted buildings, if they are shanty towns, reorganize them. We started a program called, one community at a time. There was no funding. We wanted to resolve the slum problem. If you can join with me, we'll go back to the state government to look at one community at a time. People here from the IFC, you can listen to us when we come to you. We want to address the slum issues. We want to talk about people living sustainably. You can't have people living in houses that are leaky, no roofs, but they say they've migrated from the village to Lagos. They're in Lagos. In December, they'll go home and go and celebrate Christmas and come back to a leaky roof. No, we have to work together. So it's people, it's public sector, it's private sector coming together to work on that objective of ensuring that wherever we are in this country that is so rich, 729,000 square kilometers of land, all arable. Lagos only has 0.3% of the land mass. It cannot withstand the pressure. We have to get everybody to understand that they can survive very well in their own areas and be what they want to be. That will reduce the pressure a bit, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lastly, on the issue of a sustainable transportation system, the person talking, I think, is a student. And
Materials.
who?
Oh, sorry. Oh, you asked about...
There could also be incidences of making legislation that will get people to, that will get everybody on board to ensure that this is the way to go, and the way to go is to eliminate this slum by government legislation. It's not enough to say PPP. You have to be definite, and that definite is that government, in countries like Nigeria, government need to play a role. And again, the issue of migration, when you use the word migration in a gathering like this, and you are a Nigerian, I'm not sure that is a proper language to use. I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
The moderator is rounding up. Thank you very much. In 1 minute. Thank you, Dr. Widono.
I didn't get you.
I said the moderator is rounding up in 1 minute.
Yes, I am, before the interjection, but there's no problem. The president, NIQS, sorry for that. You know, at times, we always have room for this deep discussion. But in this kind of gathering, because of time factor, we have to limit it. So many things will be cut off. So sorry about that. So regarding the sustainable transportation system, I will employ the MSc student to please, you know, things are changing day by day, and you cannot have it in your palm. It's not possible. One of the things that is around you for you to know that even the government, they are trying their best, is this issue of a blue line, red line. There are also ways of improving our transportation system. It doesn't just come like that. You understand my point? So in all those areas, you need to, because you also have an impact. That's why people come in. There's no project you will develop in the world. When people doesn't have the idea of the technology, it's going to be abused. Where is the CCTV in the years back, mounted around Lagos and Abuja? Where are they today? Because the people are not being carried along. So it becomes vandalized, and we come to ground zero. So I will refer you to still go and acquire knowledge in sustainability. Once you do that, you'll be able to know, you can be able to stand like many of us on this stage and talk to the government. I think that solves your question. Thank you so much. So on this note, we have brought this to a final note. I want to thank all my panelists and the audience as well. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, panelists. Please, another round of applause for the panelists, please. Please, can we just line up for a group photograph just before you leave? Quickly. Please, center stage. Thank you. No, up there. Thank you very much, sir. Before we continue, I just want to recognize representing our traditional landlord, His Royal Majesty, Oba Abdulwasiu Omogbolaon Lawal, Abisogun II, the Oniro of Iroland, is here represented by Otun Boba Shelu of Iroland, Chief Olaiton Olamuyiwa, and also his special advisor on media, that is Oluwakorede Opepe, is also here. Thank you for coming. I also want to recognize Engineer Abiola Koshegbe, representing the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. And also recognize my sister, Titi Oshodi. She is I'm trying to make sure I read everything properly. She's a special advisor on climate change and circular economy to the governor of Lagos State. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you. We just want to have a brief interlude. Please feel free to, if you want to shake a bit, it's okay. Please, just an interlude of, we want to share, especially for those coming out of other parts of the country and outside, from Africa and every part of the world, a bit of our history through our dance and music. Thank you. applause, ladies and gentlemen, for this exhibit. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please, I do not need to say it. Don't try this at home. And you can only get this level of dexterity, beauty, color from this green nation called Nigeria. So another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Now we're quickly going to be moving to, I was told not to allow you to dance so that you don't slide off, but so I'm sure I'll still keep you on your seat. One of my friends here, tell me from Botswana, she was like, oh. She couldn't believe what was going on. So Tabi, welcome to Nigeria again. So now we just want to do three of our sponsors and business partners with products are going to be exhibiting some extremely innovative ideas to us this morning. I'm saying morning, I'm pretending it's not afternoon, so I'm still saying morning to just make us still feel it's still early. So I want to start off with EcoBricks and welcome on stage. They came all the way through the partnership of Innovate UK to share with us some of the great ideas that they're working on for this green earth. So ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome EcoBricks.
Good afternoon. This is my product. It's made of recycled wood, and when I say recycled wood, we're talking about old pallets, cable rolls, waste wood. So it's dry stacked, filled with concrete in the core. It's much faster to build with. It's a simple process. Everybody in this room could build their own house with EcoBricks. The manufacturing process is also very simple, so setting up a factory here in Nigeria and taking advantage of waste streams like old pallets, cable roll, waste wood, mineralizing it and setting it into a block is a very simple process. So we've got a couple of videos to show you. Wherever we cut the blocks, we put a bit of bracing either side. You can't burn this because it's mineralized and has cement in it. It's resistant to any bugs. It won't take mold. It's breathable, which is very important, so you don't get mold inside your house or condensation. The nice thing is as well on the inside, it has a concrete core of 120 mils, so you get the advantage of thermal mass, which is natural cooling for your house. So in a country like Nigeria, to keep the insides of your house cool and breathable is very important. So I've got a couple of other videos to show you. There's a little bit of volume if they can turn up a bit. So this is just a TikTok video we made of one of our builds in the UK. So as you see, you just dry stack them, and then the concrete goes right in the middle there, and up they go. So a normal house like this will take around a month and a half to build before you're sleeping in it. It's not temporary housing by any stretch of the imagination. If you build with these houses, they are staying for a very, very long time. The oldest house made with woodcrete is from 1947, and that's in Europe. In Europe, there are about 400,000 houses made with woodcrete. In the UK, there is about 7,500. In Canada, there's about 10,000. And down in Australia, they've just started building with woodcrete, and there's about 2,000 houses. So it's very eco-friendly, it's low carbon, it's simple to use, and I think that with the housing demand here, anybody in this room could build a house very easily using this product. So yeah, this is it. There's not a lot to say except that it's really simple, and it's very low carbon, and it's tried and tested, and it's been around for a very, very long time. It's called Woodcrete, and my company's called EcoBricks. If you want any more information, I'm very happy to share. But just as a little intro, I want to say thank you for letting me share, and if you're interested, we can have a chat later. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. EcoBricks, thank you very much. The next sponsor we have, the business model we have is WaterGen. WaterGen, can you come up stage, please?
The city, a complex fabric of
WaterGen,
both commercial
don't be
and
shy.
residential buildings. The city, a complex fabric of both commercial and residential buildings. Many cities have municipal water systems that are not safe for drinking, or the supply is unreliable. And more are revealed every day. WaterGen is the solution. Water out of thin air. The WaterGen generator supplies fresh and clean drinking water directly into the building by extracting it from the humidity in the atmosphere. Once the air is filtered and water is generated, the water is then filtered as well, and vital minerals are added. ensuring premium quality and great taste. This is the building's main water grid. WaterGen's pipeline runs totally off the main grid, eliminating concerns of lead and other harmful elements from aging and corroded water pipes. This drinking water grid goes directly from the water generator through an entry port on the rooftop, outside the building or in a specific place inside the building, and down to a designated drinking dispenser installed inside. This system, the city, a complex fabric of both commercial and residential buildings. Many cities have municipal water systems that are not safe for drinking or the supply is unreliable. And more are revealed every day. WaterGen is the solution. Water out of thin air. The WaterGen generator supplies fresh and clean drinking water directly into the building by extracting it from the humidity in the atmosphere. Once the air is filtered and water is generated, the water is then filtered as well, and vital minerals are added, ensuring premium quality and great taste. This is the building's main water grid. WaterGen's pipeline runs totally off the main grid, eliminating concerns of lead and other harmful elements from aging and corroded water pipes. This drinking water grid goes directly from the water generator through an entry port on the rooftop, outside the building or in a specific place inside the building, and down to a designated drinking dispenser installed inside. This system is perfect for homes, apartment complexes, hotels, schools, and hospitals. The generator can supply up to 5,000 liters of drinking water per day, leaving the municipal water source to other uses such as dishwashing, laundry, bathing, or gardening. The future is now. An independent source of safe and clean drinking water for both personal and business needs. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Second time, before it is sent into our condensation chamber for condensation. Then after condensation, the filtered air is sent back into the environment to trap in more water. Then the condensed water is brought to this point, where it's filtered the first time, filtered the second time. Then this is a mineralization chamber here that adds calcium, magnesium, potassium to the water. Then there's a UV lamp here that kills all the bacteria, fungi, viruses before it is sent into the tank for drinking. So this is where the cold water is stored, this hot water. Then this ring here lets you know how much water that is in the tank at every point in time. If you're drinking from a bottle, you place it here. If you're drinking from a cup, you place this here. And this does about 2 dispenser bottles every day. Just plug it to a power source and you're good. And the advantage of having this in your office or your home is that at least you're guaranteed of the quality of the water that you're drinking because you're producing at the point of use. And our machine comes in different sizes. We have the one that does as much as 6,000 liters of water from the air every day. We have the one that does 1,000 liters. We have another one that does 220. Then we have this for home and office use. This does as much as 40 liters of water every day. So let me just quickly. So if you want to dispense cold water, you press this. And you drink. So our stand is at the back for as many that are interested in having a taste of this water. So I'm looking forward to taking your questions and getting you to experience the technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, WaterGen. I thought you wanted to give us, did you want to give us water? Oh, okay, we should come, okay. Not even a taste here. We're plenty here, we are breathing serious. Yeah, sure, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for all your patience. The next product we want to advertise to you is from another member of the Innovate UK group. It's Vessel Build Solutions, and I have, funny enough, Eddie Black, no pun intended, coming up stage to just give us a little speak about his product. Go on, Eddie.
Thank you. Is there a video? Hello, everybody. I'm Eddie Black. I'm from Vessel Build Solutions in the UK. I'm here with Innovate UK to try and bring technology to Africa and other places around the world. We have developed a solution made from recycled glass. It's a structural panel that's rapid build. It's rapid manufacture. We can, in one production line, we can create 33,852 linear meters of this product per week as a panel, which is a lot of homes a year. In the UK, it's a standard 3-bedroom house. That is equivalent to 5,000 homes a year in one production line. So we want to bring manufacturing to Africa. We want the African people to do their own manufacturing, their own build-outs, and take care of their own problem themselves. There's a stand outside, there's videos, there's products. You come, touch, feel, and see what we've brought to the market. But thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. We have the last product to be brought up stage, but this is a video they're not doing here in person. Can we have the video for BiFem, please? Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, please, I just want to call up for the next plenary. Dr. Esen Usobia is here. Doc will be moderating this session, and he is the Director of Waste Management Research and Policy Development for LOMA. He will be moderating this session. We're going to be talking about the secular model for resilient and sustainable African cities. Take it away, Doc.
Thank you very much. She has reduced from 55 minutes to 30 minutes, and I'm sure that we'll get to that time. Our topic, as she has said, is a secular model for resilient and sustainable African cities. You will agree with me that, or let me even start by saying that the African cities we are referring to here It's like cities like Mombasa, like Lagos, like Kano, like Port Harcourt, like Tema, like Freetown, like Yaoundé, like Dar es Salaam, and so many other African countries. You'll agree with me that one peculiar or outstanding pedigree with African cities is rural-urban migration. And that means that people from the villages, from the hamlets, from rural communities migrate to the city centers. And this results in unprecedented population explosion in these cities, like I've mentioned. And, you know, take for instance, in Lagos, the former speaker said we had about 123,000 people that come to Lagos every day, but I think the right data is about 200,000 people that come to Lagos every day. And this is also peculiar to other African cities. And when they arrive in the cities, what are they going to look for? You agree with me also that as soon as somebody lands in a city, the first thing you look for is where to put his head to sleep. And that means that when you have so many people in the cities, there will be pressure on public infrastructures like the housing, like the road, like transportation, like hospital, and the rest. And one thing that will shock you is that by the year 2050, we are told that about 70% of African population will live in the cities, and that it takes about 40 billion tons of virgin materials to build houses for these people to live. And that by that 2050, you discover that there will be so much dependence on construction of houses, and we are also told today that about 80% of the houses that we are going to use in 2050 have not yet been built. That means that for that 80% to be built, there will be so much pressure on the quarry we have in Abeokuta and Ibadan. There will be so much depletion of trees to make wood for our roofing. There will be so much pressure on the sand dredging like Lagos is having right now. And then if nothing happens, you will discover that our children, our grandchildren, our future children will not have the granite again from the quarry to build their own houses. And if nothing happens, the trees will have been felled. And you know, one peculiar pedigree again with tree felling is climate change. And you know that when houses are built and then you knock down the trees to produce the woods, you are also impacting negatively on climate change. And then when you continue to dredge, you know the impact of that. So in all this today, we are going to look at how do we midwife, how do we mainstream, how do we look onto circular economy in order to provide a sustainable, resilient city that is economically and socially inclusive, that is also livable for people to come in future. And with me today, I have experts. I know the former speaker said that the president, he said that experts lead us somewhere. But president today, expert of my own expert panelists, they will take us to the right way. And I want to call on one person. I think I've not spent up to 2 minutes. That's why I'm rushing. We have 5 people panelists there that are experts. And the first person I'm going to call to come and do justice to looking at circular economy model for a resilient, sustainable city in Africa is Mrs. Titilayo Oshodi. She is a special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. Can we put our hands together for Mrs. Oshodi? She will give the government perspective to it, policy perspective to it, and the expectations. And while she's coming to the high table, I also want to call on Mr. Joshua Adedeji. Mr. Joshua, are you here? Please put your hands together for him as he's coming. He is a country lead, Innovative UK and Global Alliance Africa. And while he's also climbing up, I want to call on Bahatis Zongo. Zongo is the project manager, Tanzania, GBC, Green Building Council. And then also to that, I will call on Leah Estaban. Leah, are you here? Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Leah. And then our rapporteur is Michael Olojede. Are you here? Can I see your hand like this, Michael? Thank you very much, Michael. Please help me with something. She said that I'd had 30 minutes. So hit it at the core. The questions are very simple. And by the time you listen to them, you will agree with me that these are the experts that are going to do justice to what we have talked about. Please permit me to get the questions ready. I've said earlier that 40 billion tons of materials are being used annually to build our homes and infrastructures. And my question today is that over 40 billion tons of virgin materials are extracted annually for building of our homes, schools, hospitals, roads, and other infrastructures globally. And this is likely to increase due to escalating population growth in African cities that is as a result of rural-urban migration. And don't forget that this migration most times is as a result of security and safety issues, as a result of economic issues, education, and all other things. Now, the question is that we know that this is not sustainable, of course. What circular economy model will you propose that will be indigenous, affordable, inclusive, and environmentally positive, that will discourage linear dependence on virgin materials for the built environment of African cities? And I want Mrs. Oshodi, by virtue of her position, her portfolio, I think she's the best person to talk to this question.
Thank you very much. Good morning, or good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And thank you to the Nigerian the Green Building Initiative for this laudable event. I'm just going to jump right into it because I think that time is of essence. And so within the ambit of the question, how do we build resilient future, or how do we build resilient communities? We have heard various insights around the challenges that Lagos is peculiarized with, essentially from a coastal perspective. And we also understand that we have a huge inflow of economic, we've been asked not to use the word migration, but I usually say economic migrants, you know. And every time the government puts out an initiative or project infrastructure, it seems as if we're still trying to catch up with the rising number that is pressing and really pressurizing the already existential infrastructure. But one of the things that we have looked at, you know, in the Office of Climate Change and Circular Economy is to sectorialize our sectors, you know, just create a sectorial mapping of it. From an angle or from a perspective of circular economy, we understand that that is increasingly becoming a very prospective tool to tackle the issue of climate change. But on the flip side, it also presents an opportunity to empower, to drive incentive, and also to be able to draw the data, collect data, and, you know, use that as a simulation for the solutions that we can prefer. So I have heard also today that we need to start from what we have. And if I'm going to start in that light, I would say for communities that are vulnerable, for societies that are underserved, let us look at what is already existent in the social amenities in Lagos State. I know for a fact that in the area of waste management, Loma does not have enough facility or infrastructure to be able to enter into the rural areas or into the hinterlands. However, these rural communities generate humongous volume of waste. So how can we start to help these communities? First, in education. We cannot remove the aspect of man and management of man, and that sits comfortably in the area of education. First and foremost, if you want to educate somebody about a change in behavior, they need to be able to know that there's a benefit in it. And that's where incentivization comes in. We are not altruistic people like that in Nigeria, in Africa. And I doubt that they are like that in the West. I think it's just a human nature. If you want me to move away from something that I'm already acculturated with, or something that I'm so used to, and it does not speak to food and drink on my table, then you have to attach some benefit to it. So there are programs that the government is beginning to look into that is community driven. First, to be able to drive data aggregate the sort of data that can allow for us to simulate templates and solutions, but in it, attaching social subsidies that tie into various sectors. For instance, in a community where they need access to transportation, they need access to sound health, to good health, they need access to electricity. Government is beginning to look into ways of establishing intermodal infrastructure or solutions that can provide access through social subsidies in those places. I know I'm talking conceptually right now, and that's essentially because we're short of time. But these are the things, some of the things that we're looking at as a ploy or as a pipeline to start to commit that behavioral change that is needed for circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Please, a hand of applause for her. The mindset, advocacy for people to learn to key into circular economy. I'm going straight to Adedeji. You know, while I was making introductions, I spoke about circular economy, where we will have to, look at building materials that may not have to be 100% from virgin materials, and then rely on either reuse or recycle, or having building materials that will be sustainable, so that we will not deplete our forest of trees for future buildings. By adopting circular economy models for buildings and other critical infrastructures, will eventually decouple economic growth tied to unrestrained / unsustainable consumption of virgin resources for African-built city environment. Then how ready do you think we are, and what do you also think we need to put in place in order to guarantee a smooth transition with regards to this, with regards to reliance on circular economy? Over to you.
Awesome. Sorry, can you hear me? Hello?
You can use mine then.
Hello? Can you hear me now? Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for that question, and thank you, Mrs. Titi, for that interesting perspective. So for me, I will pick it up from the part where you mentioned about the transitioning into like where we want to be. One key thing that we should recognize is the fact that transitioning at any point is not expected to be easy. For everything we've done, even making some interesting economic decisions, so it's meant to be tough. So which is why, if you look at it from how ready we are, I would say that everything that we require to actually transition into a green society and to build sustainably, we have them ready. But of course, there's a lot that needs to be put into this, which is why as an ecosystem, as experts, we need to come together, picking it from the kind of work we do, especially from Innovate UK. One thing we try to do is to support in developing pilot solutions, because we're not going to fully transition when people cannot see the benefit of where you are taking them to. So when you see some of the projects we fund, we don't fund you to actually go do something massive somewhere, but we look into how can you demonstrate that this is possible. And that's why you've seen some of the businesses from the UK that we brought to say, let people see what is possible with what we're talking about. And that's how we can actually efficiently or effectively transition. And we have a lot of things, just like we say, even in fashion. One of our colleagues was saying, the textile, the clothes we all need to wear for the next 10 years, we already have them, even if they don't produce any other. The same thing we have in construction. We have a lot of materials already mined, and we have a lot of people, innovators, who are even thinking about bringing back, construction materials when they deconstruct or when they demolish, to see how can we bring this back into cement, production. How can we use glass that we already have? We've seen people in PET, they've mastered the process of actually collecting plastics and all that. Yesterday, I visited one of the company, Biofield, just in Lagos here, and I could see what they are doing, with, plastic bricks. And they have a model house that you can actually see. They've completed it. It's on the ground. So, but people will not fully embrace it until we're able to show them. And the final thing I want to mention is sometimes the way we see the construction industry, we see it as something that is very heavy on just site, presence. But the adoption of technology also is important, to help, make the transition swift. So when we can think about how can we leverage technology as an industry, I think that is going to be amazing. So technology and innovation is a way to go. Let's embrace innovation. Let's come together. Let's see how we can support, the young innovators in our sectors. We don't want the sector to be just for maybe the older generation. We want to see how can we celebrate or involve, the younger ones in the university, on the street, who are actually developing novel innovation that would be really interesting and will be good for, the kind of transition we are looking up to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Joshua, I want to draw your attention to something briefly. You talk about exploitation of materials and technology and all that. You'll agree with me that in the construction of a building, one of the principal resource or material is granite. I said earlier that in 2050, considering the fact that we use 40 billion tons annually, it means that in the next 26 years, if you have traveled along the places like Abeokuta, Ibadan axis where we have the quarries, you see some quarries have been depleted, they are closed down, and they are looking for others. And then you discover that in the next 26 years, maybe no more quarries will remain in that axis. And I'm particularly happy because the former general manager of Lagos Building Control Agency is here. And what we are saying is that, is there any possibility to have a building code that will entertain the use of recycled concrete, to make buildings so that we will not continue to rely on virgin, raw materials, so that our children in the future may have something to also build their houses? Is it possible that for a policy or something that can come up, to encourage the use of recycled waste materials? You just saw bricks that were made from waste wood. Can we incorporate that? If such are incorporated, will there be an approval to use that for a building? Would that building be sustainable? Will it be strong? Would it be durable? Can it stand the test of environment and all that? So in answering that question, I want to quickly shift to Zongo. Zongo, about 70% of the world population are expected to live in cities by the year 2050. And considering the fact that 40 billion tons of virgin material are used annually for the construction of homes and other critical infrastructure, do you see a significant growth in urban mining sector as a viable alternative, or what other alternatives do you think are crucial for the effective circular economy model for a resilient African city built environment-wise?
Thank you very much. My name is Bahati Zongo from Tanzania Green Building Council. I'm glad to be here today. So straight to your answer, I would encourage the use of urban mining as one of the main ways of recycling materials. Like the buildings should consider, longevity of the building should be considered, but then when the building is out of use, the debris from the building could be used to build another building, or like modular building systems. Also, I would also encourage the use of biomimetic architecture for architects. I'm also an architect, so I would encourage most architects to use biology in terms of building design, inspiration to construction. Because nature has never been wrong. Nature has a closed loop system. Nothing is left behind. One product is the byproduct of the other. So if we get into our design strategies, use the knowledge of biology into that, nothing will be left behind. One product will be the end, being the byproduct of the other. So that is my main encouragement to architects. I would also like to encourage Africans to let us start trading amongst ourselves, trading in terms of building materials. I will give an example. It's easier for me in Dar es Salaam to import something from China rather than importing something from Congo. And it's just a neighboring country, you know? Let us start encouraging our own local building materials, emphasize them into existing technology, and then trade amongst ourselves. That will be a more way of becoming more sustainable rather than importing and then copying and pasting buildings from Dubai, from China, direct to our environment, which is more or less of a tropical African environment. Lastly, I would also like to encourage governments, our own governments. For instance, our president, the High Excellency Samia Suluhu, she's been encouraging clean gas cooking into homes, and we have a pilot project in one of the neighborhoods in Tanzania that uses natural gas, and that gas is completely way cheaper. You can boil anything with it, and at the end of the month, you pay something like $10 a month for the bill. So it's something that came from the top, because the president has been like shouting about it. So it's easier, you know, when it's coming from the top to bottom, it's easier for implementers to implement and encourage everybody else to use the technology. So it's a top, bottom, and bottom-top system that could work. Instead of letting the politicians do the way they want, and us professionals hiding ourselves and doing what we want. So it's something that could be like a collaborative between everybody else. I think, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Zongo. I think I also appreciate what you've mentioned, that in going circular economy-wise, we'll need to identify what we have within our backyard. And I also want to agree with you, because I think for the past 2-3 years, or a couple of years, when there is disruption in global supply chain, where you cannot get so many things you wanted to import as a result of wars between countries, as a result of global energy crisis, energy transitions and all that, you discover that there are a lot of things we can no longer bring in, or it's not available, or at a very higher price. And if we are able to identify our local building materials that are recyclable, that are usable, that can be accommodated with our policies, I think we will have sustainable and then resilient cities in 2050. And talking about policies, Leah, I am coming to you. I know you've been smiling, waiting for this storm. Look at what I'm going to ask you. If you were saddled with the responsibility of writing or making policies that will enable sustainable, secular, and resilient buildings in African cities, what will be the critical elements in your policy statements?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. Well, if I had a magic wand, I'd make the whole world circular, but clearly we can't do that. I'd say, as you were saying earlier, the goal of circular economy ultimately is to regenerate nature. The end goal, why we're doing all of this, is for nature, which will intrinsically better human lives and well-being and health. So it will never be fully circular. We will never fully close the loop, but the goal is to slow down how much resources we use. As you were saying at the beginning, we use over 40 billion tons of raw materials every year, which is absolutely insane. Yet we have so much in our own backyard, as you were saying. I mean, I've been here for 72 hours already. The amount of concrete and rebar I've seen, I've never seen this in my life. There is so much already there that we can reuse, but waste is just material without an identity. So we need things like material passports and systems where we can store materials and have it embedded from the very beginning. So when we start planning to build, think about circularity in the design. Can you deconstruct it? Where are you going to procure your materials? Are they toxic? Can they be bio-based? What's going to happen during maintenance and repairability during the actual use of the building? Can you remove windows, for example? Are they using materials such as sealant that makes it impossible to maintain? Or at the end of it, do you have to put a wrecking ball and demolish it, or can you actually take it apart and reuse the materials elsewhere? So if I had a magic wand to make policies, I'd say communities in a way in partnership. The 17th SDG is partnership for a reason. If we use the whole value chain, the whole supply chain, everybody, we engage the contractors, the suppliers, the architects, the government, everybody together, we can actually keep track of what happens with these materials. How is your building designed? What material went in it? If there is also circular business models as well, if they do buyback schemes, can the supplier take their materials back as well? Then that will help immensely, I think, because a lot of the time we see a building at the end of the use is not even not fit for purpose anymore. It's just people don't want it anymore. Like, for example, we saw over COVID, they built so many offices, and then COVID happened, people are working remotely now, and they actually don't know what to do with them, so they're just demolishing them, and they're just new. They've never been used, and they're just vacant, empty, and it's a massive waste. So build for longevity, adaptability, and flexibility. Maybe right now you need it as an office, but what will happen to your building in 100 years, in 50 years, and work backwards from there and see what else it could be used for.
Thank you very much. Please, I want you to put your hands together for her. You see, as you've mentioned the policies and people's reaction to that, I want to ask this question, because having policies written and documented and archived, and the people that are to implement the policies are not aware about it, I think it also means that circular economy will be slowed down, because they may not know that there is a policy that allows you to incorporate bamboo in making roofing and all that. But in handling that, I want to turn to my special advisor, and my question is this. Circularity often involves a shift in mindset. How can educational initiatives and awareness campaigns contribute to fostering a culture of sustainability and circularity among citizens in African urban cities?
Thank you very much.
You may just use 1 minute. Yes. I want to take on 1 minute round before I take questions.
I hear a lot about policy, and I think that there is a role for policy to play in shaping minds. But you can't go wrong by adopting a carrot and stick approach. A lot of times when government places ban or enforce, a certain action, the sustainability of it is understanding what is the rationale behind that ban. So, and that is in the knowledge of what it is, what they require for us to do. So, for instance, they have put a ban on styrofoam. People are beginning to look into plastic as an alternative. Plastic had always been there, but because of the ban, there has been a transition of mindset, right? Now, it is our job to now begin to talk about any other alternative that is also available away from plastic. And there are, But in the framework of our work, what we do is we want to start connecting with communities and running pilots, just like Joshua has said. Because sometimes with the pilots, it becomes more graphic. You're able to simulate actions. You can pull out the nodes where you're touching on empowerment, you're touching on advocacy, you're also touching on opportunities, to generate revenue, or for businesses that are within that ecosystem to be able to scale. So our idea or our approach or strategy is right now, if I can just quickly talk about something that is being done, addressing a community that is like a correctional facility. And we have started to educate these inmates, or the girls in there, as to how they can convert their waste, their plastic waste, into something that is more functional. Interior decorating items, accessories and all of that. And we have also educated by collaborating with technology solution providers to help them harvest their organic municipal waste by establishing a biodigester that can help them to decompose those organic waste and produce biogas. And on the back end, you have a byproduct of fertilizer that can feed into a farm. So you'll see that within that ecosystem, we have established that place as a potential collection center, because we're going to sensitize the community. They're going to see that there's a place where they can dispose of their waste responsibly, but there's going to be an incentive program that's going to draw and engender those people to come to that collection center. So within that ecosystem, we have technology providers, so solution providers. We have educators. We have skills acquisition. We have partnerships with all of the people, all of the MSMEs that have come into play. There's so many nodes within the Sustainable Development Goals that makes that pilot in itself a project that is worth to look into, you know. So it goes on and on, but data, more importantly, we're drawing the data that can help us to build a report to say that there is prospect in this and it can be replicated across board within the Lagos metropolis.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Please, can we put our hands together to her? Because you see, when the people are aware of the values that they tend to gain by using sustainable materials waste-wise, I think they will be carried along. I was carefully trying to avoid the word waste management, but I have no choice than to go to it because I'm a garbage collector by profession, and I know that the moment people stand to know that by having their PET bottles, for example, collected at a fee, that PET bottles can be used to, incorporate into any project. Have you noticed that these days, when you are in a public place drinking water, that somebody standing somewhere eyeing you, as soon as you drop that bottle of water, the person comes in and picks it up. Hitherto, it was not like that. So you see that waste management is a kind of alternative now that even the built environment is looking forward to. In other words, for example, how do we recycle concrete? How do we get old materials through urban mining to incorporate it into building system? And in talking about waste management, I want to quickly give by a 1 minute because I'm being given signal. And that question I want you to address based on what I've just said is that waste management is a significant aspect of circular model. What successful strategies or technologies have been employed to minimize waste and promote recycling in African cities? And how can this be scaled up?
All right, thank you so much for that, hopefully. In terms of waste management, I think our cities were doing, especially Lagos, doing an amazing job. But one thing that is impacting, especially on the innovators, is the critical areas that we need to look out for more work to be done. And it's amount to collection, which I believe, Lagos State is doing amazing work, and some other countries are doing the same thing. And the second that I want to touch on is sorting. So sorry that I'm flipping your question, not talking about what has been done, but what needs to be done. And that's what I see every day. So when it comes to sorting, I think that's the major challenge for people who actually need those materials. And one area will encourage people, especially key actors, to look into when it comes to collaborating with government and agencies like yours would be investing into technologies that allow for proper sorting of these materials. So all the plastics we see all around, they are not all the same. And you can't use all the plastic for a particular thing you are doing. You need to know the composition of the plastic you want to use. So if you're even using the construction materials, like from demolition waste, you need to know what's the composition, how do you reuse them. You can't just take everything the same way and dump it into what you're doing. So as much as we have done a lot of work into ensuring that we can collect PET, we need to create channels for other forms of waste. But most importantly, we need to actually invest in how we can sort, maybe from site, and of course, investing in logistics when it comes to moving them together. And lastly, I will just touch on one of the things I've said earlier, which you asked a question, around how can we ensure that these materials, when they are developed, are being used. I will tell you one thing, I work with innovators every day, and one thing we see everywhere is the fact that we don't lack innovation, but the incorporation is the challenge. So a lot of people are building things all around, but the builders, they will tell them, we can't use them because if we use them, they will come, they will demolish our house because it's not certified. So we actually took it upon ourselves at some point to say, how can we engage with the policy actors, the regulators? And I'm calling on everyone in the room, especially if you sit at that level. I've seen a lot of people, some of the people I've seen who are doing like waste materials to build a ceiling or a lot of other things. But no one is off-taking them because if you do, no one is certifying them. How can we build partnership between the testing agency in Nigeria, in Lagos, and other agencies like in the UK, like BRE, who have a testing facility to actually certify some of this material and said they are good to use and you can use them for construction.
Thank you
so
very
sorry
much.
that I used the time to actually touch on two things that
Thank you so much, Joshua. I mentioned that the former general manager of Lagos State Building Control Agency is here, and I'm very sure that she may have something to add to it. You see, I was privileged to be part of that team that was looking for alternative materials for co-processing of cement. And we discovered that about 28 to 32% of Lagos waste that are combustible, non-recyclable, can be used for co-processing of, cement. And then Lafarge is doing so much well on that axis. But the issue is this: how can we get other investors to believe in the use of these recyclable waste materials in the built environment? And this question goes to Songo. And the question is that circular models often rely on collaboration between public and private sector. How can partnership be forged to incentivize businesses and industries to adopt circular economy practices in African urban environments?
Thank you. It's through forging partnerships between the public and the private and people. The partnership, the previous panel talked about the PPP collaborations. This will encourage more of, I would say, you give people confidence when you give them the chance to show up and excel their knowledge and what they have in their heads. And then another thing that could encourage is tax breaks and incentives. The government should, for me, I would say anything imported that is green and sustainable, there should be no taxes. And that has been happening in Tanzania right now. We've enforced it and through the UNDP and the World Bank and the Tanzania Green Building Council. All the solar panels and wind whatsoever, as long as
I may have to stop you.
Yes.
There, I know you are making very vital, giving us very vital information, but time is already. Can I have 5 more minutes? Yes, thank you very much. Well, quickly, I'll take just 2 questions. But let me quickly ask Leah. Policy frameworks play a vital role in shaping urban development. What regulatory measures or incentive can government implement to encourage the integration of circular practices in city planning and development? 30 seconds before I take 2 minutes.
As my colleague was saying, and going to interrupt, as incentivizing people are 100% more important than taxing, because people always want to feel like they're making a bargain more than they're being penalized, and we'll always try to find ways around it. So I think incentivizing circular business models and practices is 100% more important, yes.
Thank you very much. Please, can we put our hands together for our wonderful panelists? From the time left, I think I can take 2 or 3 questions if we are fast. Before you ask the question, please bear this in mind, that there could be the integration of waste materials in the built environment, and then it could still make it sustainable, it could still make it resilient, and then it could still be affordable, and then everybody living in the slum and in informal locations are carried along. That is urban, social, and economic inclusion. Please, if you can give me 2 or 3 questions, my panelists are waiting to receive the questions before we round up this session. Yes, please. Can you help me with microphone, please? 1, 2, 3, 4. Please help me with that microphone there. Please. Also, give them the microphone. Everybody want 1 microphone. Number 1, please. Oh, I'm told that I can take 2 questions or maybe 2.5. Yes.
1.5.
Okay, question, please. Second microphone, please.
Thank you so much, the panelists and the organizer. My name is Babatunde Adebayo. I'm an innovator. I convert waste to building materials. Mr. Joshua, thank you very much for raising our plight. We are faced with the challenge of certification. And I think I had the privilege of made mention of this at a program like this. One of the things I look forward to is not to keep on asking this question, but to let it be that at this meeting, there will be a collaboration between Nigerian government, especially Lagos State, with others outside there that are for material testing. I was faced with a question. Ceiling tiles, is it green? I said yes. The person said, how do you say it's green? I said, well, I could claim it's a circular product. But to say, okay, it is green, there might be a kind of a code, there might be a regulation that certifies this is a green product, aside being a circular product. So the essence of my contribution here is to have that partnership, not keep on repeating the same thing over and over again, that, okay, innovators in the house, this is a link for you. You want your product to be certified as a green product, as a circular product. This is where you submit it to. And this is where we take it up.
Thank you very much, Bayo.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Sir, this is the half question.
The last question, yes.
Half.
Okay, can I have one half question? There's a hand there.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, panelists. So I'm Sean Daldo from FUTA, studying quantity surveying. So my question goes thus. There are so many innovative ideas, and some of these innovative ideas were based on materials testing previously. For example, pyrolysis has come into being, building of houses with plastics also has come into being. But there used to be a certain quality of the materials way back. But now we see PET bottles. The PET bottles are no longer as, I won't use the word quality, I'm very careful now. They are no longer as durable as they used to be. Now you could see PET bottles that could be crushed. So what's the balance between the government is putting in place for standardization of these materials? In such a, because there are so many innovative materials, she's trying to use innovative ideas, she's trying to use those materials to solve problems. But now, if those ideas are all coming out
question.
Yes, and the material is not sufficient to meet up with the demand. So
the material is not sufficient to meet with the demand.
The standard is not standard enough.
It's not standard enough. Yes. Please, I want to crave the indulgence of Engineer Abiola Koshekwe to answer the first question while the SL will answer the second question. Please, look at that at the front here. The former General Manager of Lagos Building Control Agency. Please answer the first question while Madam answer the second question.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think the question was about certifying building materials, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I know that we're actually, well, let me say, you know, I'm representing Nigerian Society of Engineers here. I'm not representing government. But I know that the state government is working on the Lagos State Building Code, right? And in the building code, we actually have a lot of aspects that have been incorporated, including green building and building energy efficiency. Okay, so and we actually invited quite a lot of stakeholders to the development of this document. So one of the things that we'll take back from here is the certification of green products for construction. It's something that really needs to be looked into. I remember when I was actually at Loma, we were trying to get Ministry of Works to utilize rubber tire material for road construction. And even government to government, we couldn't really get it going. We inspected the facility at Imota and everything, and we really made a lot of effort, but we still couldn't get it going. So I have to say that it's a lot of work that we really need to put into it. We're here and we'll take it back and try and do more about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma. And the last question, ma.
I'm going to try and make it as brief as possible, but I also think that it gives room for another way around this solution. And clearly, it's not something that we have to continue to discuss. But in the economics of market, there are various ways by which you can stimulate a demand. First and foremost, there needs to be a coalition of all of these innovators and technologies within the industrial construction space. You know that there is power in numbers. If you can begin to coalesce all of your activities and your work and begin to test it, you can start to stimulate the demand. Also taking note of the ESG framework, because if it is circular economy, then it is climate friendly. Then you can start to pull the nodes that touch on the various areas of ESG so that you're positioned for the sort of funding that makes you formidable as a force. When you begin to put that work together, put the technologies together, and you begin to form either vehicles, special vehicles, cooperatives that can help you gather visibility and also run programs. You can start to partner with property developers. You can start to work with people in construction. Then you become more forceful in voice to begin to demand for the policies, for framework, because you would have drawn all the certifications, you would have established your framework for standardization, and it's easy, it's more easier for you to compel governments to do what it is that you require. I think that's a way. If you look at the industry of music, you look at the industry of Nollywood, they are running, it's government that is running after them right now to catch up. And we can, testify to the sort of numbers that they're rolling in terms of GDP on an annual basis. So it's time for us to start being introspective. There's a role for government, but also remember that there's bureaucracy around these things. We need to start being creative. We need to start being introspective. We need to find ways around multitasking and stimulating the demand in markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure with our discussion, though very brief, we have been able to identify that the circular economy model is doable. We need to have some certifications. We need to look at the global supply chain deficiencies and rely mostly on locally recyclable and reusable building materials. And having said all this, I want to thank my audience and appreciate my great panelists for doing a wonderful job today. My prayer is that may God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We deserve more hand of applause than this now.
Please, can the moderator and the panelists just stand so we can have a group photograph together?
By the entrance of just be by the elevator entrance. Or you stay here and direct them to the elevator. Let me go. Okay, you want to go up right now? I will go with the first set, don't worry. I'll go with the
Thank you very much.
direct them. So the
Then
next
where will she be?
She can just be by that registration table and direct
Thank
them
you,
to
thank
the
you,
other person
thank
that
you.
is at she will go with me as I'm going.
Thank you very much to the moderator and the panelists. Even though the moderator did not thank me, I thank myself. It's okay. Thank you. So, I must appreciate each and every one of you for staying this long and being part of the program till now. We will be breaking into that item 7, though it's not actually on number 7. But when we're through with lunch, we will be going into the thematic sessions. We have 4 breakout sessions. And one session will be happening here in this hall. Another one will be happening at the back. So we're going to break this all into 2. Then we'll have the 2 other sessions upstairs. So if you look at the program that you have, session 1, which is strategies for affordable, sustainable, and climate resilient housing in Africa, that will be moderated by Sadaya Aliu, the CEO of Urban Shelter Limited. That will be happening upstairs. And the second session, which is designing and building practices for climate adaptive African cities, will be moderated by, I just want to say Chinwe because we're cool like that, Janet Sanya. It will be happening upstairs as well. Then the other sessions 3 and 4, that is building codes, setting new norms in African construction, and African future cities, lessons from abroad, will be happening here. Session 3 will be this part, and session 4 will be at the back. So once again, sessions 1 and 2 upstairs, 3 and 4 here in this hall. Now we want to break into that session item, something. So all speakers are special guests, all speakers, moderators, minus Dr. Nsuba. And our special guests from the GBCs all over Africa will be going upstairs, minus Dr. Nsuba. I mean him today. No lunch. So they will all be going upstairs, please, and Ioma is here to lead our guests upstairs. Now, for those in this hall, we have two areas for food. Those to the right, my right, your left, we've laid out your buffet at the back. And those to my left, your right, will come through this way, and you have your own layout at the end of the hallway down there. Am I clear? Those to my right, your left, here in the hall to the back. And those to my left, your right, will have to come out through this hallway down, and that's where your layout, your spread is. So once again, thank you very much. Please let us network. Let us reach out and look at all the exhibitors that we have, and we'll reconvene in all our thematic sessions by 2:35. For those who are not quick eaters, you can leave your poo-poo, my name on it, I'll come for it. 2:35. Please network, introduce yourself, and have a good afternoon. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Bless you. A quick correction. Apparently, sessions 1 and 2 will be down here, and 3 and 4 will be upstairs. Please, sessions 1 and 2 down here, 3 and 4 upstairs. I am in my capacity. Mrs. Oshodi said the various notes. This is one of my notes, MC. So please listen to the MC. Move on. That's what